that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed and start to move your balls. Pick up a word, it's Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. It's a little dreary today, and but still it's a little cool. It is definitely fall, and so what this means for my grass cawaser, that's right, it's grass time. What it means is that I got to cut my lawn down low, I got to reseed, I got to do what I got to do to keep that crabgrass from coming back next summer like it came this summer. It came this summer with a vengeance, like, yeah, we crabgrass, what? You know, and you pull it up and it just grows back or grows in other spaces and comes from other people's lawns. I'm not going to talk about that. You know, I mean, it's just a lot. You know what I mean? So I got to make sure that I mow it down really low and reseed. What do you think, Kawesa? What do you think my chances are with my grass this fall?
Well, I think you have a plan. I think you have a good plan.
Okay. All right.
I'll
Okay.
give you that. You
Okay.
know, that crabgrass though is serious. It'd be like, yo, you try to get rid of me, but nah.
Crabgrass is from the hood.
It is.
It is. And it's just, you know, it can live through anything, man. So it's like, you know, we got to make sure that we do what we got to do. We'll see. If any of you have any suggestions about that, give us a call. Let us know, because I need your suggestions about that. Now, the other thing, Kawais, I gotta take you to task, because I came in and you wasn't playing Patty. You was playing Gladys. Patty and Gladys did their verses this weekend.
Yeah, they did.
And Patty is, you know, she from Philly.
I know.
You think Gladys won?
I know Gladys won.
Oh!
And I love Patty. Listen, I love both of them. I love them both. Oh my gosh. There was a point where I actually teared up a little bit when I was watching it, because just, the sheer legendaryness of their, I know that's not a word, but it was just historic to me. And the love that they had for each other, the sisterhood, the bond, and they weren't taking no mess. I think Auntie Gladys was like, you know, Brandy, Monica, y'all get it together. You know, they were really, you know, holding people to task, telling people to vote, like, they was out there, and I loved it. I loved every moment of it.
Yeah, and so my understanding is that Dionne Warwick was there too. She showed up, so it was like, you know, the Friends Network and the whole thing.
The whole thing.
You know what I mean?
She called her, like, you know, psychic friends, and you know, did all that.
Yeah,
you know, but it was nice. It was.
Well, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, because we needed some beauty this weekend, because the Eagles. Yeah, I got to talk about it. I got to talk about this mess, because the Eagles' loss was one of the worst I've seen in a long time. Backup linemen who've never played in a meaningful NFL game, a quarterback who holds the ball too long, a coach who sees the blitz coming and refuses to call short passes. When all of those things combine, you end up losing after leading 17-0. But while the Eagles' loss might be the craziest thing that happened this weekend, it's not the worst, because the wildfires tearing through communities across the West Coast have killed dozens of people, and dozens more are missing. The fires have burned 4.6 million acres. That's an area about the size of Connecticut and Rhode Island combined. So while I hate that the Eagles lost, I'm counting my blessings that I'm here in Philadelphia, and not someplace like Los Angeles or San Francisco, Seattle, or Portland, because the fires are destroying more than just properties. Smoke from the blazes is making air quality unhealthy, which can irritate lungs, cause inflammation, and affect the immune system, heightening the risk of, guess what, lung infections like coronavirus. So you see, it's easy to look at your own problems and think they're the worst thing in the world. But when we take the time to look beyond ourselves, we realize just how blessed we really are. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with Word. Dr. Naima Benson of Dedicated Senior Medical Centers has the latest on coronavirus. Lawyer and critical race theorist Dr. Tim Golden on the shooting of 2 L.A. sheriff's deputies this weekend and the history of policing in California. Streets Commissioner Carlton Williams has an update on trash and sanitation in the midst of coronavirus. Word's own Chris Murray on the awful Eagles loss. and the social justice wins during the NFL's first week. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065. It's toll free, 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at forward. But first, it's the Big Three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one. A sheriff's deputy in Georgia has been fired after being captured on video repeatedly punching a black man during a traffic stop, authorities said Sunday. The deputy was being let go for excessive use of force, said the Clayton County Sheriff's Office in a statement. It didn't identify the deputy, but said a criminal investigation is afoot. Roderick Walker, 26, was arrested and beaten after Clayton County Sheriff's deputies pulled over the vehicle he was riding in Friday with his girlfriend, their 5-month-old child, and his stepson for an alleged broken tail light. His attorney, Sean Williams of the Cochran firm in Atlanta, said Sunday the deputies asked for Walker's ID and got upset and demanded he get out of the vehicle when he questioned why they needed it since he wasn't driving. The subsequent arrest, captured on video by a bystander and shared widely, shows two deputies on top of Walker, one of whom repeatedly punches him. Walker's girlfriend screams and tells the deputy Walker said he can't breathe. A child in the vehicle yells, "Daddy."
I need to know their names. I do. Like, why are y'all protecting them? Like, I need to know, the names of these cops. Because here's the thing. You didn't just start out being this way. You've been doing this prior. There's no way that you don't have prior records of beating black folks up like this. It's ridiculous. And he's absolutely right. Why do you need my ID? I wasn't driving. It has nothing to do with me. So I feel you on, like, it bothers me to my core. And so, yeah, I need to know the names. I need to know the name of the person who did, because there are probably dozens of other victims who this police officer interacted with.
It's a mess. And I think, here's the other thing. Clayton County is a suburb of Atlanta to the south of Atlanta. So you know what happens. It's like in Philadelphia when people in the hood talk about going out to the county. Man, you better watch yourself when you go out to the county. That's the same dynamic that's happening here when you have people coming out of Atlanta who are black, who come to these counties where the people are white, and where the police harass black people to make sure that you don't come to the county. That's what this is about. They stopped this ride share. He's in a ride share. He's in like an Uber or a Lyft, right? They stop him claiming that it's a broken tail light. Then they asking him for his ID. Why are you asking me for my ID, man? I'm not driving. I don't have nothing to do with this. Like, if his taillight is broken, handle your business. Deal with him. They pull him out of the car, beat him up. There's a 5-month-old baby. There's a stepson. They're kids, man. But they don't care about our kids. They don't care about our people. They don't care about our women. They don't care about our children. This is why they are doing it, because they don't want you in these communities, and the police in these communities, they are the enforcers of that. And we just need to just recognize that, make that part of the discussion, because it is a means by which they try to keep you out of certain places. That's why they do it. That's why this happens. He needs to sue them until he owns that county. Now, the other thing that they've done afterwards is they brought up his criminal record. Oh, he's got a record. He was wanted for this, and he did this, and he did. No. What does that have to do with the fact that you pulled him out of that vehicle that he was not driving in front of his woman and his children, and you beat him 2-on-1? What does that have to do with it? No, y'all need to be locked up. You're involved in the criminal act, not him. Which brings me to story number two. In the latest sign of the chaos overshadowing the 2020 election, none of Pennsylvania's counties will be able to send out ballots to voters today, the first day the critical battleground state of Pennsylvania allows counties to do so. Due to a slew of lawsuits and other issues, the Commonwealth has not finalized its ballot less than 8 weeks before Election Day. The state's Democratic Party remains in court battling to keep the Green Party off the ballot. The pending legal dispute has led to a delay in certification of the November ballot. As a result, all Pennsylvania county election officials who could have started offering absentee ballots, mail-in ballots, and even in-person early absentee voting starting today are in a holding pattern. Pennsylvania, of course, Donald Trump barely won it by less than 1% in 2016. It's just one example of a critical swing state that's come under enhanced scrutiny for election laws that could further confuse and delay results on election day. I need y'all to understand this. This is purposeful. This is not something that's happening by accident. I need y'all to understand that on the state level, because they talk about it in the story, the Democrats suing the Green Party, but you got Republicans on the state level trying to push legislation to stop you from having drop boxes where you can drop your absentee ballots, to allow people from other parts of the states to come to your county and be quote unquote poll watchers, right? To really try to intimidate people out of voting. I need y'all to understand this. If voting wasn't important, they wouldn't be trying to stop you from doing it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. And I think the thing that makes me the most nervous is the fact that, election day is right around the corner. It's right around the corner. And I do not understand how, it's this particular election is every 4 years. How come we always seem to run into this problem where only like a month or two before the election we're running into these types of issues? And it shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't. Which brings me to story number 3, my commentary for the day. There's so much happening that sometimes it's easy to be overwhelmed. The president is lying about coronavirus. The homeless are camped out on the parkway. Fires are raging in California. And the most important election of our lifetimes is less than 2 months away. But in Philadelphia, the most immediate danger is gun violence. Gun violence that's killing our men and our children. Gun violence that's killing bystanders. Gun violence that left a woman fighting for her life after she was shot early Saturday morning in West Philly. Police say she suffered gunshot wounds to the face, arm, and shoulder. And after cops rushed her to the hospital, she was in critical condition. But here's the thing. The woman shot this weekend isn't the only one in critical condition. This city is in critical condition. The city is in critical condition because we had nearly 2,400 shootings as of September 6th. That's not random or a few bad apples. It's a scourge of gun violence that's killing us from the inside out. That kind of violence comes from rage that happens long before anybody pulls a trigger. Rage that comes from lack of opportunity, lack of education, lack of employment, and lack of hope. When you shoot someone because they looked at you the wrong way, that's not about what happened in the moment. It's about what's happening in your heart. When the cycle of vengeance won't stop no matter what, that's not about a neighborhood beef. That's about generational trauma. Our women are being shot in the face. Our babies are being shot in the womb. Our communities are in danger, and we got to do something. For me, that means mentoring young brothers through Man Up PHL, but all of us can do something. All of us must do something, because if we don't, the shooting will never stop. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. We are talking about a number of things on this morning show, including the gun violence taking place in Philadelphia. Another woman shot 5:40 a.m. in the Mill Creek neighborhood on 47th Street in West Philly this weekend. I want to hear your solutions. I was on a town hall with Channel 6 over this weekend, and I appreciate them giving me the opportunity to be a part of that. But I heard a number of things around the issue of gun violence, that we should have a state of emergency, that we need more cops on the street, that we need tougher sentencing, that we need to lock up more people, that we need to bring back stop and frisk. Like, I heard all kinds of things, but I mean, I really do believe there's no one size fit all. Right? And that you have to have people working together on all kinds of levels around this issue. I think that some people might need to go to jail. I think that some people might need mentoring. Some people might need employment. Some people might need counseling. Some people might need all of that. And so there is no one size fits all. And I truly believe, and I'm going to be honest with you, we need to stop throwing money at the problem and start throwing people at the problem. In other words, we need to really be stepping into people's lives to try to make a difference for them. What do you need as an individual? Not, we got this blanket solution that's going to be this magical solution, and all you got to do is pay me $2 million and I'll do it. No, that's nonsense. That's people pimping poverty. That's people pimping gun violence. That's people pimping all of the problems that happen in the hood. No, the bottom line is this, that we need individual solutions for folk, because everybody is not going through the same thing. It's just like the homeless encampment. People are homeless for different reasons. Some people are homeless because of economics. Some people's economics are damaged because they are coming out of a situation of domestic abuse. Some people are on drugs. Some people are mentally ill. And so you need to figure out what is going on with this individual person in order to deal with their individual problem. Yes, it's a result of systemic injustice and systemic racism, but at the end of the day, you're dealing with individual lives and you need to treat it that way. So I want to hear from you around the issue of gun violence. But here's the other thing I want to hear from you about. We got a lot of listeners that's old school. You understand? A lot of listeners that are come to you like, look, man, all that timeout stuff, no, I need to get the belt for my kid. It's a lot of people that's old school. A lot of people that's old school, y'all drink brown liquor. Y'all ain't drinking no beer. Y'all ain't going to the beer garden. Y'all got brown liquor. You understand what I'm saying? We got a lot of people that's old school. We got a lot of people that's like, nah, I want the King James version of the Bible. I don't want none of this NIV stuff. We got a lot of people that's old school. So the question I'm asking this morning is this. You're old school if. I want to hear from you. Give me a call. What's the answer to that question? You're old school if. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. If you must, and only if you must, you can call to talk about the Eagles. I'm sensitive about that right now. I'm still hurt. I'm still a little bit hurt. So if y'all gotta do it, you can call to talk about that too. But the question I have today, you're old school if. And Kawais and I battling that out in the studio over who won that versus. Was it Patti LaBelle or was it Gladys Knight? Did y'all watch? I want to know what you think. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. I'm going to give y'all a minute to think about it while I go get my coffee. We're going to go to break. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD. We'll be right back.
No fear, just facts. This is WURD, independent black media. As a business owner, hiring and developing people from the community that your company serves is one of the best ways to show commitment to that community. Let Word Radio help with Livelihood, our new initiative that connects Philadelphians with companies like yours. We'll feature your business, open employment opportunities, and resources to connect your company with talent and ensure that you reach your target demographic. To learn more about how Livelihood can help you build your team, visit wordworks.com. That's WURDworks.com. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by CVS. Getting heavy southbound 95 this morning. Cobbin Avenue down through Bridge. You're busy through the construction. Again, delays Allegheny through Girard. Northbound 95 moving fine. Westbound Vine. Slow you down through Broad. Again, busy Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound, you're going to find that heavy University through 30th jam there. Down to one lane of construction. West of that, no other problems. Eastbound 76. Delays Gladwin to Belmont City and through the Boulevard a bit slow. Again, Montgomery through Spring Garden. Now looking at the Boulevard at Route 1 northbound. That is busy. It's still this morning just north of the Schuylkill Expressway. Earlier accident near Wissahickon has been cleared. Southbound side Broad down to Fox. Also a bit of a slow ride. CVS pharmacists have a proprietary search tool that analyzes ways to help lower your prescription costs. Come in or call today to get a free prescription savings review at CVS. Savings vary. Not all patients eligible for savings. Ask pharmacists for details. For more traffic information, log on to SigAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're waking up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. We are, of course, taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. So, the question I'm asking this morning is this. You know you are old school if. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Of course, we're also talking about the latest incident with police accosting, attacking, harming, hurting black people happened in Clayton County, Georgia. It's a suburb outside of Atlanta where two sheriff's deputies pulled a black man out of a rideshare vehicle. He's in there with his girlfriend, their 5-month-old child, his stepson as well. They pull him out. They beat him because he didn't want to give them his ID. He wasn't driving the vehicle, and a sheriff's deputy has been fired because of that. Of course, the other thing that we're going to talk about a little bit later on with Tim Golden is the shooting of two sheriff's deputies in L.A. They were attacked while they were in their vehicle. Someone walked up, pulled a gun, shot into the window, wounding both of them. There is a long history of tension between the L.A. sheriffs and the black community in California. We're going to talk about that as well. But the other thing I want to talk about is this, the election, because it is less than 2 months away. Pennsylvania's ballot still not ready. It's going to be delayed because of lawsuits, other things that are happening. And I want to know how you feel about that. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Of course, I want to know if you watched the verses as well between Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle. I'm home team all the way, so I'm Patti. But Kawesa apparently is Gladys. So I want to know what y'all think. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Going to go back to the phone lines, talk to Miss Mary from Winfield on line 1. Good morning.
Good morning, son, and how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all as well, thank God, because I'm talking to you and you're talking to me, and that's a blessing today.
Yes, it is.
So much. Okay, let's get to the verses.
Okay.
I'm homeschooled too, but I told a couple of my coworkers crossing guards on Friday, Gladys was going to wear her out. That's just how I feel. I love them both, believe me. But I just know Gladys is going to wear her out.
Okay.
The second thing, I'm trying to remember everything, Solomon. The second thing, I've made up my mind with this election that I am going to go to the polls.
Okay.
I'm afraid, but I will be masked up and gloved up. But with this foolishness going on, and as I said to Kawesa this morning, I even called the commission's office last week because during the pandemic, they shut down my polling place. And I called last week, and I just wanted to get this out into the atmosphere to other people. They couldn't even tell me last week whether my polling place was going to be open or not.
Wow.
They told me to wait until the end of September. This is the commissioner's office. So my family, look into what's going on. But if I do get the ballot, I'm going to the poll. I can't not afford to put my vote to be counted with the foolishness that's going on.
Yeah. I hear you.
And the third thing is, you know you're old school when you say, go get your belt or go get that switch and don't get me a little one. You know you're old school then, see. Because I don't believe in massacring children, but I was never a parent that said, wait till you get home. Because by the time you got home or got up that street, you done forgot children. So I'm going to do it right then and there. Of course, at that time, it worked for us, old school, and me, you know, because you got it right there. But because of changing times and everything, and the system came in, and it's like, oh, you're murdering them. I'm old school about that. Listen, you got to get a belt to them and stop playing with them because you got to know, first of all, God is in control, and I'm second, so let's roll with this thing. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Miss Mary, I hear you.
Have a blessed day.
You too. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. You know, when my children were smaller, they would get a spanking. But as they got older, and what I counted on was like the fear of that, right, would control them as they got older. It worked, you know what I mean? But I think absolutely that's old school. I want to hear from you, especially the switch. Let's go back to the phone lines. 215-634-8065. Malik from Mount Airy is on line 2. Go ahead, Malik.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. I'm a registered gun owner, and registered gun owners are usually not the ones that being counted in all these shootings. These shootings are coming from those who are in the grips of despair and trauma, and that's a festering cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Until we start finding out what's feeding these cancers, it's not going to stop. It's only going to get worse.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is, you got to attack. You have to attack the poverty. You got to attack the systematic racism. You got to attack the police brutality. You got to attack, just the traumas that children are going through.
Yeah.
And then until we change that dynamic, all you're doing is pretty much breeding what's to come, and what's to come don't look good. So we got to change that so we can have a brighter future than a darker future as it looks right now. Because I don't think they're all bad. They're all bad people. They just made bad decisions at that time. Because, like you said, it's been a collective. It's been little things that lead me to this point of despair where I feel as though I have no other options. Where I'm going to go get this tool to resolve my anger issue instead of saying, you know what, I need to talk to somebody. I need to call somebody. I need to sit down. Even if they need to pray, whatever you need to do to get whatever it is that's bothering you out of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as what's going on in Georgia, if the country doesn't realize that this is a systematic problem, because you got Minnesota, you got St. Louis, you got Georgia, it's happening all over the country. You can't say these are random acts anymore.
Right.
Because somebody is training these people to treat us this way. Because if I'm not the driver, I can be asleep. I don't have anything to say to you. I had a right to remain silent. I don't have to say or give anything to you. So the fact that you pulled me out of a vehicle, that's like I said, that's abuse of force. That's excessive force. That's unnecessary. You don't have to do that to me. I'm not the driver.
Mm-hmm.
That's saying you and I driving to North Carolina and you get a speeding ticket. They say you need my driver's license. Well, Solomon driving, that ain't my fault.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I thought I'm allowed to be anywhere in this country in a 4-day connected as a citizen of the United States without being impeded. But obviously that's wrong. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we need to change exactly how these people think, how they see us. Whatever it is, something has to change. You can't keep telling me these are all random acts across the country.
Yeah, I don't think they have to be trained by the department to do that. I think they're trained by society to believe that black people and especially black men are a threat. And it's racism.
Scary.
I mean, that's what it is. It's racism. The society trains them to be racist. That's what it is. You have to, because we are having these discussions now, I think it's possible for people to take a step back and look at what they've been taught, what they believe, what their implicit bias is. But if nobody's checking them on it, it's like, it's natural for me to think that black men are dangerous, black men are a threat, black men are to be abused. That's natural because that's what the society teaches. I don't even think the department has to teach that. That's why you see it across the country like that. That's what I think.
Don't you think that's a scary mentality?
It is.
You and I could be going to the supermarket laughing and joking and get pulled over. Hey, like you said, quote unquote, a busted taillight.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm in the car with you. We laugh and joke. I have Solomon got to get his taillight fixed. They'll probably get him a little, fix a ticket, and we move about our business.
Right.
What are you asking me for my ID for?
Right.
I have nothing to do with this. This is the card registered in your name, and just your driver's license. I ain't got nothing to do with this. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna obey what y'all saying, but I'm not giving you anything. I'm not giving you any. I'm gonna keep my hands where you can see them, but I'm not giving you any information on who I am. That's none of your business. I have every right. We're not breaking any laws. We're not interacting any crime. So all I have to do is make sure I don't do any, as they say, any false actions, so I won't get, they won't feel threatened. And just let you get your ticket and we move out our way.
I hear you.
Grab out of a car and beaten?
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. If you want to get in, it is 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Dennis from Phillies on line 3. Go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, Solomon, I love the show.
Thank you, brother.
So much. I have like 4 points. The first one is that, they say guns don't kill people, people kill people, but the availability of guns is an issue. And the guns are regulated on the federal level. So we could talk about a lot of different things, but if we don't have control of the influx of guns coming into Philadelphia and coming into Delaware, New Jersey, that's the issue that has to be addressed centrally. Secondarily is that, I believe that more what they call qualitative research needs to be done.
Okay.
And it's every time I hear, different politicians talking, church leaders, that's like the preacher preaching to the choir. You have these guys who are actually perpetrating these heinous crimes. In many cases, they need to be part of the research study where you develop themes.
Yeah.
And you're going to see consistent themes about what are motivating them to do these things.
Yeah.
They have to become part of the process.
I agree.
Okay.
I
So
agree.
the third thing I want to talk about is the issue of single moms. And I know that's a hot button issue for everybody, but I work on state roads. I guarantee 85% of those guys down at Pick, a house of correction, were born to single moms. And being a single mom is a beautiful thing. But I tell you, a lot of these young fellas, they lack a role model. They lack role models. When I was growing up, I had uncles, aunts, cousins, and there was an intact family structure. So, and it seems to me that being a single mom is being glorified. It's nothing wrong with being a single mom. It's a beautiful thing if you can handle that. But the values that are instilled when a mother and a father are together is what the young African-American males are lacking. Okay. And then finally, I went to West Philly High, and we had electric shop, we had the auto shop, we had wood shop. All those things have been taken away. And not only that, but we had in-school discipline. Those of you know what it is. I don't want to name any names. I'll say one, Mr. Nelson. You got your discipline in school, and then you got it at home. And finally, the issue of hopelessness, helplessness, and despair are pervasive throughout the African American community, and they must be addressed.
All right, I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. I think here's what I would say regarding parenting, because I've had children both ways. My oldest is 28, and she's from before my marriage. She lives in Phoenix now. But my two youngest, of course, are from my marriage. They're 18 and 15, 16 rather. My son just turned 16. It's hard raising children, right? I look at what my mother did after my father and my mother got divorced, and now I realize how hard it actually was. She made it look easy, right? But now I realize how hard it actually was. It's hard raising children when it's two people, right? And so the fact that you have so many sisters who are trying to do it by themselves, some of them doing it quite well, some of them not, right? The fact that you have so many sisters trying to do it by themselves is a problem. It's a problem, and it's not, to blame the sisters. It's not. You know what I mean? but men have to take the responsibility of being fathers. Period. That men have to take the responsibility of being fathers, man. You know what I mean? It's easy to, you get what you get, you walk away and no, you have to take the responsibility of being a father. Now, everybody not going to get married. Bottom line, everybody not going to get married. But here's what has to happen, and I know this from my own experience, like in and out of family court with my first daughter, right? Y'all got to figure out a way to get along. And you have to figure out a way to make sure that that man is a part of his children's life. And money is important. It is absolutely important. But you know what's more important? The relationship between the father and the child. So you got to figure that out. We have to figure that out, because when that does not happen, the children are damaged. Right? So we got to stop fighting each other. Stop running down, because guess what? That court is not there really to help you. It's not. They ain't trying to keep your family together, man. They talk about the stuff that they do being in the best interest of the child. No, that's not always the case. And so you have to make sure you do whatever you can to be a parent. The man, the woman, both of you, you have to work together in order to raise up children who have half a chance of surviving in this society, because if you don't do that, you put your children at risk. I'm talking from experience. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Former Vice President Joe Biden.
We have to let people know we're listening, that we not only understand their struggle, but they understand the fact they deserve to be treated with dignity.
Senator Kamala Harris.
Part of the point of freedom is to be free from brutality, from injustice, from racism, and all of its manifestations.
But they're not getting a chance now.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have a real plan for police reform.
It means creating a national standard on use of force and conditioning federal funds for police departments on adoption of that standard. It's about giving the United States Department of Justice the subpoena power to investigate systemic police misconduct.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to change that. I really mean it. I believe with every fiber in my being, we have such an opportunity now to change people's lives for the better. I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. Some busy spots here in the Philly area. Schuylkill Expressway eastbound Montgomery to Spring Garden. Busy westbound side. You're jammed up from University through 30th Street. Restrictions down to one lane because of ongoing construction. Westbound Vine delays 8th out through Brodigan. Heavy Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Southbound 95 or jammed Cotman through Bridge down to 3 lanes there with construction. Then busy Betsy Ross through Girard. Northbound 95. No major problems or delays there this morning. 55 northbound. You're at a jam from Deptford into 42. Back to Philadelphia. The Boulevard southbound Broad down to Fox a bit slow. Staples helps your business with everything from office essentials to health essentials, all at amazing prices. This week, Apple AirPod Pros are just $199. That's a $50 savings. All friends at $919 while supplies last. Limit 2. Save big this week at Staples. For more traffic information, log on to SigAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. We got a whole lot to talk about. This morning on WURD Radio, of course, the Eagles with a horrific loss. I'm still trying to heal from that. Kawesa, did you see that mess?
I did. It was awful. And then, and we're getting, all around the country, we're getting mocked and, ridiculed because they're like, oh, y'all lost to a team that don't even have a name right now. They don't even have a name right now, and we lost to them. And I'm sitting there like, okay, now we know why, Jalen Hurts was, why he got drafted, because they didn't look good. They didn't look good. Wentz didn't look good. Ertz over here. I'm like, Ertz, you catch these balls all the time. How are you? It was a mess. It was a mess, and I was disappointed, and I was just like, it was cringy. I was like, the whole time. Not the whole time, towards the end, I was like, okay, it's not good.
I'm looking at these dudes they had playing on the offensive line, and God bless them, they tried. They did. They tried. They did. But they rookies, man.
All
they
of them,
rookies.
Yeah. I was like, who's that? Who? Huh? How you? Okay.
I mean, dudes you never seen before in your life. And the one dude, God bless him, he was so big. And they tried to do a screen pass. Now, for those who don't understand football, there's these guys in the front. They're the offensive linemen, and they block, right, to make sure nobody can get to the quarterback, so the quarterback can either give the ball to the running back so he can run to try to score, or so that the quarterback can throw it to the receivers so they can catch it and try to score. So the offensive lineman, Jason Peters is getting he's getting a little older. He's almost 40. He's getting old, right? But he used to be an all-pro tackle, and he did okay yesterday. But they had these two guys on the other side of the line who were rookies, and one of them, they were trying to do what's called a screen pass. Now, a screen pass is where you have the offensive linemen, they run out to the side, right? They got to actually run out to the side and be there so that when the quarterback throws the ball to the running back runs behind them and they try to score. This dude was so big, man. There's no way in the world they should have been trying to do a screen pass. This boy can't run out to the side. He can't run. Why are y'all doing that? Why you put that boy in that position, man? That wasn't cool. Do you see him? He can't do that. He can stand there and block. That's what he can do. Let him do what he can do. Stop trying to make him do something he can't do. He too big to be trying to run out there. Or the screen pass and try to block somebody.
He was also too big for that shirt, too. Sorry. I'm sorry, y'all.
He's too big.
I'm sorry.
Why are y'all doing that to that man? You know he a young man. You gonna scar him for life. Why are you doing it? I looked at that game, man. I was like, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. What are they doing? Why is Carson Wentz holding the ball? You know these guys can't block. Why are you holding the ball for 10 minutes? What are you doing? It was unbelievable. So if y'all want to talk about that, you can. My other question is this. You know you're old school if. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these things we are talking about on this morning show. Another attack against a black person by police in Clayton County, Georgia, a suburb of Atlanta. Man gets pulled out of a rideshare. He's not even driving. They talk about, we want to see your ID. He didn't want to show it to him. They pulled him out and beat him in front of his kids. I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Ab from Nicetown is on line one. Go ahead, Ab.
Solomon, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Okay. Solomon, I'm over 65, and I've been in some trouble when I was young.
Yes.
But you old school when you're in trouble, you're getting in trouble, your mother tell you, come in the house, eat your dinner, then she tell your son, go upstairs and get in the bed, get yourself together for school tomorrow. You know you old school when 5 o'clock in the morning, you in bed sleeping, wop, 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 wop.
Yep.
And your mother tells you, say, boy, I didn't forget. You thought I forgot, but I didn't forget.
That's old school. The sneak. The sneak whooping.
After a few of them, Solomon, that's what made me the man I am today.
All right. I appreciate that.
Say it.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. OG from Philly is on line 4. Go ahead, OG.
Solomon, great show.
Thank you.
You're old school when you came home for lunch every day.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the police is concerned, you know, until it's equal justice for all, no matter what color you are, that's the only way that we're going to have any peace with the police. I mean, that Biden commercial that you just played, it says a lot, and I think that's the right step in that direction. And thanks a lot for taking my call, and keep it short.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD. E from North Philly is on line 2. Go ahead, E.
Yeah, peace and blessings.
Same here.
One love, yo. I hope you had a good vacation and the things that you have done. Yo, listen, I just wanted to say one thing, you know what I mean, about the encampment down there.
Yes.
Living in the streets, man, is not easy. And that lady that called last week, she was saying, I don't care, you know, they out there 0 below. That is no joke. You know?
Yeah,
it's like surviving in the middle of 0 dark 30. Yeah. Remind people that, you know, it could get like that. We all might be out in 0 dark 30 if we don't vote.
That's
okay.
a good point.
Well, yeah, hold that one. And, you know, peace to you and Queen Croy.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother.
I mean, yo, listen, but I have to say.
Go ahead.
I have to say. They pulled the guy out. They beat him, right?
Yeah.
You can try to beat me, but, you know what I mean, what the guy say? He said, turn the other cheek. Right? If we often, when we turn the other cheek, you know what? I'm starting to realize we more susceptible to taking the pain. You know, we don't have to deal with it no more, because on the sky's the limit, and you know that you keep.
I hear you, but I think this. Here's what I think. I think the bottom line is that there has to be equal justice for everybody. You know, the Bible says, "Let justice roll on like a river, and justice like a never-ending stream." And so, you know, we have to fight for justice, for equal justice, and I think that has to be the goal. And so, you know, I don't have no more cheeks to turn. Not when it comes to this. I don't. And so we need to figure out how we are going to go about getting equal justice. Now, that means protest. That means voting. That means running for office. That means raising your own resources. That means keeping people accountable. That means policing your community. That means having social services. Like there are multiple solutions that we need to be working on, all of them. But certainly there needs to be justice, and it has to be equal. I'm going to go back to the phone lines, and we are going to talk with our next caller. Harai from Ardmore is on line 3. Go ahead, Harai.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
We on that a man getting beaten.
Yes.
We need to put a cry out to these corporations too. There's no way that rideshare corporation should not now join our cry, because that is going to affect their bottom line also. If they can't operate their company without their customer feeling that they're going to be at any time be attacked. So that's my point on that.
That's a good point.
On the custody thing when raising our children, Solomon, you know, I had to look in the mirror and grow up myself and realize that's the dude I picked. I picked him to be, whether consciously or unconsciously, and whatever his faults was, I picked him to be the father of my children. So you're right. We have to grow up and learn a method I mean, if you picked a woman and she turned out to be a bad mother or whatever, you have to accept the fact you picked that woman. You
That's
know,
a good point.
and it's not the children's fault, but that was a tough lesson I had to learn. Yeah. And look, I fell out. You know, when Kwesa said the man's T-shirt was up around his chest. Oh my God!
It was.
I'm like that. That is just terrible.
Yeah.
But that's all I got for you today.
All right.
Peace.
I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Why they put that man out there to try to play guard, Kwesa? Why they do that?
I don't know.
Why they do that to him? He ain't deserve that.
He didn't. That
You know
was
what
not
I mean?
fair at all.
They gonna try to make him do a scream, sprint out to the side. You know doggone well that man can't sprint out to the side. Why you do that? 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Derek from North Philly is on line one. Go ahead, Derek.
Good morning, Brother Solomon.
Good morning, man.
Yes, sir. Love, peace, blessing, and prosperity.
Same to you.
My man. I know sometimes it's hard, but you know, this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
So, Solomon, I want to talk about Georgia, what happened with the police pulling the young man out of the car and his stepson running around looking at this takes place, calling, screaming, "Daddy, Daddy!"
Yeah.
You know, he just looked like the little kid was hysterical. You know, I mean, I can't take it much more. But, you know, I just continue to pray and spread love, peace, blessing, and prosperity, Solomon, because, like you said, we need justice. And to me, part of the problem is that justice is blind. And somehow we need justice to get the sight that it sees in this rendering of decision-making. And Big Daddy Kane and Chuck D got a nice song out right now called Enough. And it's talking about a lot of the events that we're talking about today on the airwaves, Solomon.
Yes.
And we need inspiration by any means necessary. And my brother, you know, keep putting out your spirituality and your good works. It's not going unnoticed.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day.
Thanks, Derek. I appreciate that, and thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Sister Murray from University City on line 4. Go ahead, Sister Murray.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you? God bless
good.
everybody.
God bless you, too.
Solomon, listen, the kickoff with Pay the Bill last night. I'm so excited, but you know my girls Pay the Bill, right? Because I love that lobster mac and cheese, okay?
Okay.
Now listen, let me tell you something. Remember when they were rioting, and there was a judge that got caught tearing down Black Lives Matter signs? He worked for the court of the
Yeah, that was a couple of months ago.
That?
Yeah, that was a couple of months ago.
Yeah, so why? So, right. Men need to take care of their kids. It's true. And they are, and a lot of men are, but they got them tracing behind girls who run down there to the court because they're mad because they done broke up with them, or they're mad because they didn't come home last night. And so they just go crazy and do all kinds of dumb stuff. And then they get the men all up in trouble and get stuff on their records. So they need to be checking themselves and let their mamas raise them up so that they can be grown women and strong women and backbone for the man so the man can handle his business. So if he wants to work an hour late, don't go getting on the phone call, calling your girlfriend, calling your mama. Look, handle your business. Have a good day.
All right, I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. The one thing I would say is this, and I'm going to keep on underlining and reiterating that we have to learn how to work together, man. We really do. We have to learn how to work together to raise our children. And one of the things that I'm really inspired by is that a lot of young brothers are trying. You know, you see them, they walking down the street, pushing a baby carriage. They walking down the street, carrying their baby. They walking down the street, holding their child's hand like they're trying. And we need to encourage that and help them with that, right? Because they trying, and they trying without really having an example of, okay, how do I do this? All right, well, I'm going to try. I'm going to do the best I can. And you know what? Sometimes that's got to be the start. That at least you're willing to try. And so we got to figure out, and this is what I tell the young brothers that I talk to, like, you got to figure out how to work together. I'm telling you, man, from experience, that if you don't, it's harmful. It's harmful. You know what I mean? You got to figure out how to work together. How to put your differences aside. Okay, you mad, she mad because you ain't with her. You mad because she ain't with you. No, y'all done made this child together. God done put this child here. You're responsible for that child. You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. And so we're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show right here on WURD.
Start every Sunday the right way.
With Sunday Morning Praise.
Hosted by the Reverend Louise Williams Bishop. Every Sunday morning beginning at 6 a.m. Right here on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Justice, equality, accountability. These are the values we need in our leaders to bring us together and be the America we know we can be. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are those leaders. Joe Biden has the experience to fix our broken economy. He's done it before and he'll do it again. And our own Kamala Harris is ready to lead. As senator, she championed education, health care, and criminal justice reform. And with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in charge, we know the White House will be accountable to our community. For 4 years, our country has been run by inexperience and corruption, but we have the chance to turn it around with values rooted in our common goals and the leadership of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Paid for by Black PAC and Unite the Country. www.blackpac.com and www.unitethecountry.com, which are responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Livelihood. The new initiative from Word Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey.
Work, 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 work. To me, I be work.
Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. This is Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. Some busy spots here in the Philly area. Schuylkill Expressway eastbound Montgomery to Spring Garden. Busy westbound side. You're jammed up from University through 30th Street. Restrictions down to one lane because of ongoing construction. Westbound Vine delays 8th out to Brodigan Heavy Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Southbound 95. You're jammed Cotman through Bridge down to 3 lanes there with construction. Then busy Betsy Ross through Girard. Northbound 95. No major problems or delays there this morning. 55 northbound. You're at a jam from Deptford into 42. Back to Philadelphia. The Boulevard southbound Broad down to Fox a bit slow. Staples helps your business with everything from office essentials to health essentials, all at amazing prices. This week, Apple AirPod Pros are just $199. That's a $50 savings. All friends at $9.19 while supplies last. Limit 2. Save big this week at Staples. For more traffic information, log on to SigAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. We're, of course, taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065, talking about a number of things, including our question for the day. You know your old school if. You know you're old school if. I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. You can, of course, also hit us up on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Also talking about our top 3 stories. Story number 1, a sheriff's deputy in Georgia fired after being captured on video repeatedly punching a black man during a traffic stop. A black man who, by the way, was not even driving the car that they stopped. Story number 2, in the latest sign of the chaos overshadowing the 2020 election, none of Pennsylvania's counties will be able to send out ballots to voters today, the first day that allows counties to do so. Lawsuits and other things slowing that down. Story number 3, so much happening that sometimes it's easy to be overwhelmed. The president lying about coronavirus, the homeless camped out on the parkway, fires raging in California, the most important election of our lifetimes less than 2 months away. But in Philadelphia, right here in our city, the most immediate danger is gun violence. How do we solve it? I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Kwesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So we have a few comments here that I was just taking a look at. Amy Stewart saying, fatherless men are trying to be the fathers they wish they had. Most of them have no examples of how to be fathers, so they grow and learn and make mistakes. They just have to keep trying and not give up. So that's one comment. Good morning to Doris Abdul Mateen. Good morning to you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Donald Williams says, you know you old school if you scrubbed your front stoop with Ajax and scrub brush on Saturday morning and didn't get paid for it, a.k.a. allowance. That's true. I hear you on that. So that's one comment. Cheryl Brown, good morning to you. Joey Dixon says, peace, word, family, and jazz to you. So good morning right back to you, Mr. Joey Dixon. David Howell, good morning. Oh, gosh, this is a link. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to have to pass on that. I'll take a look at that later. Bernita Okay, everybody's just responding to folks. Okay, Rebecca Truxton, good morning to you. She's saying, good morning, Word family, have a blessed day. And then Rovetta Everett Gilmore, good morning to you also. And I did see a couple others that I screenshotted, so let me go ahead and pull those up here. Cheryl Brown says, you know you're old school when you say they got the butter from the duck today. If your mother take you to the barbershop and tell them to give you a hustler because you don't comb your hair. So that's another comment there. That's interesting. I've never heard those terms before, so I'm learning something. Anissa Evans, the Eagles should have kept Nick Foles. So that's another comment. And then Cheryl Brown says, Kwesa, I'm hollering. That was from my comment earlier about, our lovely Eagles players. Mark Richardson, amen, word, Mr. Solomon, especially boys need fathers. And you know what? Boys need fathers, girls need fathers too.
Yeah,
they really
absolutely
do. So I think that, we need to remember that all children need, their moms and dads. So Linda Brooks says, you're old school if you don't care what you say, how you say it, and if it's for their good and you keep it moving. Hands down, Gladys, but they are all my sisters. So those are a couple of comments that we have today.
All right. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Give us a call. Let us know where you are on any of these things we're talking about on this morning show. Let's go to Jacob from Olney on line 3. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey, peace be unto you, Solomon. How you doing this morning?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Man, I just want to commend you on that Saturday show on ABC, Channel 6.
Thank you.
You handled, man, and WURD was all up in the background. I'm so proud. I was smiling the whole time. But it was good. It was good. You handled it, man.
Thank you.
The Eagles, you didn't hear what happened at halftime in their locker room?
No, what happened?
They released walking sleeping gas.
They must have did something. It was like two different teams.
Hey, man, what the world? I looked away, man, and when I looked again, I said, I don't believe what just happened here. What happened, So it had to be some gas or something. But look, hey, Solomon, you old school.
Mm-hmm.
When you go in places and young boys don't even know you and your name become OG or OG. And look, I think
right.
As a term of endearment.
That's right.
Because it took me a while to get this head old and get this beard, the grays in my head. So, it's like a rite of passage.
That's right.
And it took me a while to get here. And they say it respectful,
Yeah, they do.
And the young boys, let me say something, man. I'm so proud of them when I see them pushing them coaches And I've seen some had babies strapped to them.
That's right.
That's right. And I always go over to them and let them know, that's right, brother.
That's right.
Yours right there.
That's right.
You know, and I'm so glad to see that you in that baby. And you know, they're showing that fatherly thing, even the young boys. So,
that's right.
You know, we got a lot of good young people among us. We got a few fools that shoot one another, but we'll deal with that. Once we straighten out 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue,
how about that?
Big beast, you know, then we'll work on these little problems. But, you know what we got to do. But, yeah, I think that's what happened to the Eagles, man.
Yeah, some kind of gas was released in the locker.
You know, you with the gas that you can walk around, but you just walk and sleep. You like that. Because that's what they did, man.
Yeah, they really did.
All right, Solomon.
All right, Jacob. Thank you, brother. I appreciate your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Jerry from West Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Jerry.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. First, you're old school when the street light come on and you wonder why the kids ain't going in the house. Because I remember when the street light came on, we had to sit on the steps.
You better be home.
You better be home. It wasn't, and I like the street light coming on, and I'm thinking, why are these kids still out? And even on school night, even by it being virtual, I'm like, they should be in the house getting ready to get up early to go to be in class. You know what I'm saying? Because they still have a certain time and all that they supposed to be there. So that's when I knew I was old school.
All right.
Another thing too, that man called up and started some mess with about the single mother. I don't even want to go there because that's really a topic for another day. Okay.
Okay.
But anyway, about the gentleman, about the cop, I'm glad that he did get fired and need to go deeper than that because I happen to see that video. And it's gotten to the point where I'm just getting really sick of us being abused. Because when I saw it, at first I was getting ready to say, oh, no, I was going to click off. Then I clicked back, and I said, wait a minute. He hitting him in the head. Why are you hitting him in the head when the other cop guy, he's on the ground? That's what takes me out. So why you steady punching him? So it's like I had wrote on there, and then I end up changing it. Social media is not helping us. As African-American people, they always shooting us as something bad. We're doing something bad or whatever. So we need to start with social media. We need to get right with them and tell them, portray us when we're doing something good. You don't see us being portrayed as doing something good. And then another thing, too, I hate to say it, but when they kill one of us, they get killed by the masses. So, you know, things do come back. Y'all say karma, we say what goes around come around, okay? And that's not a good thing. But when they get killed, they get killed by the masses. So, you know, it do come back on them.
All right, Jerry, thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Gary from Chester is on line 1. Go ahead, Gary.
Solomon Jones, thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome, brother.
Solomon Jones, Sister Clarissa, right, we need to get some shirts to fit.
Yeah, we do.
Players.
Yeah, we do.
You know, got some big shirts.
We got to help.
Oh, yeah, that was an ugly look. And now, Solomon, the young man in Georgia, I hope that his family find a good lawyer and sue. Because one thing about the monkey counties, if you sue the monkey counties, you hit them in the pocket, a lot of changes happen.
How about that?
Now, the ambush in California.
Yes.
Now, I ain't saying I'm no expert in body shape, but I know a woman when I see a woman.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it at that.
So you think that was a
I'm
woman?
leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm just saying, look at the money. Look at the money. You know what I mean? You know, I ain't saying an expert in a woman's body, but I know a woman's body when I see one. And
you might be right.
Ain't a woman, that's Go Paul. Then that's Go Paul if it ain't a woman. I'm going to leave it like that. Now, Solomon, you know you're old school. You still hold on to your 8-track like they're going to come back. Thank you for taking my call, Solomon.
I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. You know what that reminds me of, Kawesa? You know I had to rent a car. I had an accident. I had to rent a car. So I had to rent it for an extended period of time until I could get a new one. And I had my CDs in the car. So when I took the car back, the young boy was like, excuse me, you left your CDs. And I came back. I was like, oh, man, thank you, man. He was like, yeah, I was going to give them to my pop. I'm saying, man. Kawesa, that was shade, wasn't it? Was that shade? Was that
a little bit? A little shade. A smidge, you know. I mean, but I respect a good CD, you know. I respect a good CD.
Yeah.
I grew up on you know, cassettes and CDs. So, and I was like right at the tail end of when records started, you know, kind of fading out. So, I'm familiar with CDs. And
You know how played out CDs are?
how?
They're so played out that in my current vehicle, there's no CD player.
Yeah, I don't have one either. And it actually hurts my feelings because I
You know?
have a vast CD collection. I really do. You know, because back when you were growing up, you know, I'm a product of the 80s and 90s, right? And so, you know, I would get the CDs and I would read the inside booklet from cover to cover. And I just had to, you know, see all the fancy art and all that. I love that. And now you can't do that. And you have to, like, use, you know, your iPad or iPod, or you know, you stream from your phone and all that kind of stuff. I don't like that because there was an issue that I had one time when my playlist just vanished.
Wow.
Yeah, like I won't name, you know, the company that I was with at that one point, but the playlist vanished. And so I like my CDs because, you know, if I take care of them, they'll last for a long time.
Yeah, but if they get scratched, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing. So now I have all those CDs like literally sitting on my nightstand. So he's right. When you holding on to that old technology like it's going to come back, you old school. And I do need to say this, though. I went into a music store and they have vinyl. They have records on vinyl because now that's considered vintage. And so don't act like that stuff not going to come back because it just might. So you know you old school if you holding on to your 8-tracks. You're absolutely right. Let's go back to the phone lines. Talk to Yvette from Southwest on line 4. Go ahead, Yvette.
Good morning, Solomon. I love your show.
Thank you.
And the knowledge you drop, brother.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say this. I was really young in my 20s when I had my second son. He's grown now. He's 24. I have 2 boys. One is 33, lives in San Diego. But one of the things that my youngest son's father had asked me, he said, could you please take me out of the court? I said, okay. And he was only in one time, right? You know, I was on a system at that time. And I went, and the lady said, you sure you want to do this? Are you sure? I said, yeah. And she asked me a couple times, you know, as I was having to sign these papers. I said, I'm very, very sure that I want to do this.
Yeah.
And she told me what would happen and all of that, you know, if I wanted to change my mind and stuff. But, you know, my youngest son's father, he said, you know, we can work this out. He didn't live up to his, you know, his deal. But my thing has always been I would never, ever have him through the system again because they sit there in the court, like, waiting for us to bring our black men in the lion's den, like, greasy hands, like, you know, and they you know, punish them more than any other men. Okay, and that's the thing that I don't like. I've never talked negative about my son's fathers ever because that's a part of who they are. They don't just make up just me. And so we have a good relationship to this day, but I never regretted what I've done. And I wasn't getting much. I was getting like $30-something, you know, every 2 weeks. But I did what I need to do for my son, and he's a great kid today, well, young man. And both of my sons never been in trouble with the law, thank God. And I keep them in prayer and covered under the blood. Now, next, Solomon, know you old school when you say to your kids, I brought you in this week, I take you out.
That's old school.
Bible says, honor thy mother and thy father, for thy days will be long upon the earth, and the Lord thy God giveth thee. Your days ain't going to be long if you don't honor me.
You are right. That is absolutely old school. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Lamar from Camden on line 3. Go ahead, Lamar.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
I would say that I know that I'm old school when the only time you stayed in the house is when you were on punishment.
How about that?
When you know about sugar water because you didn't have no Kool-Aid. Also, the fact that when every artist, rather be rap and R&B, had themselves a holiday classic or something of that nature. Now, in regards to you know, policing and Trump and his rallies, I know that wasn't necessarily top, but what I have a problem with is that we remember when coronavirus was going on and how they sent in cops to break up birthday parties and everything else because of corona. I don't understand why, you know, they don't do the same thing with Trump when he's disregarding these states' COVID
That's a
route.
good point. That's a good point.
You know, it's ridiculous in regards to that matter. But lastly, you know, Solomon, I would say that you present a good show, and sometimes we need to be lighthearted because, you know, I always say I was born 4/18/1972 before DYFS because my mother, you know, was the disciplinarian, my dad was the talker, and I learned from both of them about the styles in which, because, you know, the thing about it was, and we as boys, sometimes we had that testosterone going through us, and sometimes we buck up. And my mom was willing to, you know, shut me down, you know, in regards to that particular matter, because I always tell my son, I never take a butt whooping off the table. Because when I got older and my friends went other ways, I had my mom's ear, my voice. You better not get in trouble, you know, because I'm not bailing you out of jail. So that's the point of being a parent, is that the fact that when you become older, that you have a sense of morality. You sit there and you still think in your head, like, you may laugh, you may not have been happy at the time, when, you know, when she did it, but at the same time, she had that voice to say, no, you're not going to do this because you know that there's going to be trouble going on. And lastly, Solomon, I'm very discouraged about the adults calling up here blaming the women for parenthood or what have you. We as men need to step up.
Yeah, we do.
You know, stop making excuses about what you call yourself a man. Step up, take care of your child, and handle your business. And the courts are not always bad, because I had to use the courts, unfortunately, to enforce my rights as being a father. Because if I didn't, I would have been constantly in a situation. And now I have my son now. So the courts are not always bad. We just have to know how to navigate it.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. The system isn't made for us, and so we don't know how to navigate it, most of us. You know, the only thing, I mean, you know, when I look back on my experience in the courts, I know that ultimately it was God who saved me from that, because that was a mess. It was a mess, and they're biased against men, unfortunately. And so for me, the main thing that matters, man, is the relationship between the parents and the children. That has to be, there has to be a relationship. And in order for that relationship to happen, guess what? You got to figure out how you're going to get along with each other. I don't care what happened in the past. I don't care if you mad they with somebody else. I don't care, you know, none of that really. You got to figure out how you're going to get along with each other so that those children will come out whole. Because if you don't, your children are going to be damaged. Your children are going to be damaged. I appreciate your call, brother, as always, on WURD, and I appreciate your point. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to talk with our first caller on the line. I thought I was going to talk with our first guest. Our first caller on the line. It could be you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. WURD. The Word Radio newsletter.
Keeping you informed, engaged, and connected.
Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio. Messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese. Exclusive articles and multimedia content and resources.
Stay informed
with the Word Radio newsletter. Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. We have delays continuing southbound 95, Greta Jam, Cobbett Avenue down through Bridge through that ongoing construction. Busy again, Betsy Ross through Girard, northbound side, no issues. Westbound Vine Expressway 8th out through Broad. That is a jam right now this morning. Schuylkill Expressway, westbound University through 30th Street, jam there because of construction. Further west, Heavy City out to Belmont. Again around the curve to Conshohocken, eastbound Schuylkill, busy from Montgomery through Spring Garden. PA Turnpike and the Blue Route 476, they're looking good this morning. Boulevard Route 1 southbound, a bit busy there from 9th Street down through Fox. 55 northbound jam, Deptford in the 42. 42 northbound, 55 through 295, a bit slow. Staples has everything to start the school year right at amazing prices, no matter where it happens. This week, pocket folders, comp books, and 4-ounce Elmer's glue, just 25 cents each. In-store only, off friends $9.19 while supplies last. Limit 6. School on, save on at Staples. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And I want to hear from you. Our question that we're asking today, you know your old school if. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Of course, some other things that are happening around policing. 2 sheriff's deputies shot in their car in L.A. There is a reward out for the person who did that. And so we'll see what happens with that. Tim Golden going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Also, a black man beaten by sheriff's deputies in Clayton, Georgia. Clayton County, Georgia, outside of Atlanta. And he's a passenger in a rideshare, an Uber or a Lyft. The cops pull it over. They claim that the rideshare had a broken taillight, and they ask him for his ID. He's the passenger. He's in there with his girlfriend, their 5-month-old, also a stepchild. They pull him out because he won't give them his ID, and they beat him in front of his children. Bystander videotaped it. One of those deputies has been fired. But, you know, people got to start going to jail. Like, there needs to be jail for that. And guess what? The lawsuit needs to take some money out of his pocket as well. Those are some of the demands that we made with the Rally for Justice Coalition around the racism that was happening online here in Philadelphia with the police. But those demands still need to be on the table. When you start hitting people in their pocket, it's amazing how behavior changes. I want to hear from you. You know your old school if. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Before we go to the phones, let's see what people are saying on Facebook. You can, of course, watch and weigh in there at 4WURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So a few more comments here. Phyllis Williams says, you know you're old school when you visited your grandmother every Friday until Saturday. Also looked forward to her leaving you a quarter under the table scarf to buy something for yourself. Those memories are so sweet. Thanks, Grandma, for the memories. So that's one comment there. Good morning to Ida Streeter for checking in, and also Joanne Nelson. Good morning to both of you. Joy McGill, you're old school when you remember getting your hair done in the kitchen, straightening comb on the stove. My mom could do some hair. Yeah, I have have some memories of that too, and burning my whole ear, my neck. Come on, Mom, you not do me like that. I love you, Mom. Diane Gray, good morning to you. Joy McGill, good morning to you also. And then also we had a couple other comments as well. Emily Stewart saying, I hope they arrest, convict, and sentence Breonna Taylor's killers. So that's another comment that we have. And also talking about Patty and Gladys, he said, neither Gladys or Patty won. We all won, being able to hear their beautiful music. So that's another comment. Walter Davis says, talking about well-defined, about I'm cheekless and running out of cheek, Solomon. So that's another comment that we have. And then Sparkle Velvet Howell says, good morning. You're old school if you spit on the broom if someone sweeps your feet. That's very interesting. I've never heard that statement before. And Rochelle Bilal, good morning to you, says Gladys won. So that's another comment as well. And Sana Moore, lastly, hey Sana, the winner of last night's versus battle was all of us. We got to witness over 150 years of combined legendary herstory, showmanship, professionalism, and sisterhood. The two divas showed up and showed out, and we got a bonus diva at the end. What an historic night for all who watched. So that was a comment as well. You know, Auntie Patty was talking about, what does she say about some of the younger singers? Called them heifers. She called them, but like in such a loving way. And I was like, how does she get away with calling them heifers? But
she's from Philly.
She's from Philly though. She really did. Like, I was actually very proud, you know, when she just kept it so real. Both her and Gladys. Like, it was really a good night for a lot of people who watched that.
I'm getting text messages about the old school. Ramon, artist, my neighbor, he says, yes, you know you old school when you wish Wee Willie Weber was still on TV. See, you ain't even heard of that, Kawesa. That you ain't old school. Not yet. You get there. You'll get there. God bless you. You'll get there, but you ain't old school yet. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Patrick Duff wrote on Facebook, you know you're old school if your injuries are older than your kids. I mean, that's what 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Let's go back to the phone lines and talk to our next caller, and that is Diane from South Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Diane.
Hey, Solomon. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm on my way to look at Sugar Lady's first day back to school. Oh, gosh, we're excited. Old school, Solomon, was stuff that used to be 25 cents. And free for kids on Sunday.
Wow.
Old school is green, S&H green stamp. Old school is, well, they mentioned about the street light. But, here's one. Old school, when you call it marijuana instead of blunts and reefer, that's old school, okay? And old school also was ice skating at 16th and JFK. I know you don't remember that because you weren't even born then.
I don't.
But you know what? One more thing, Solomon. I mention, I help, and I say beautiful things, that positive things to every black man I see out there that's pushing that stroller.
Yeah, I know that's right.
You know what
I know that's right.
The thing is that in these relationships, the couple need to learn about the couple. They need to know them. Instead of letting your physical experience or physical need jump into the relationship instead of getting to know them. And we can't judge that black man and we can't judge that black woman, but they need to work together. I'm going through that right now with Sugar Lady's dad. Either way, I refuse to jump in. But a man, when it gets like this, sometimes men are crying out for, I need guidance, especially if they don't have a father in their own lives. If they're raised by women, they need guidance. They need to hear the word. They need to listen to a man that's been there and let them know it's okay. And it's okay. But tough times don't last forever, but tough people do.
How about
that's
that?
It.
How about that?
Solomon.
Thank you.
And you know what?
Yep.
You put the chocolate icing on the cake. I told you that. My voice is real off. Yeah.
Thank you, Diane.
And hey, I'm gonna take a picture and show it to you. Send it to you. Okay.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things that we are talking about on this morning show. Let's go to Jesse from Cobbs Creek on line 2. Go ahead, Jesse.
Good morning, Solomon. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome, brother.
I am the old-time yeg. You're old school when you remember the hucksters, when they would come up the street in the horse and wagon and up the alleys, because we kept the alleys clean then. And then it was just freestone peaches, plums, vegetables, and things like that. And sometimes they would have fish and different things like that. Also, you're old school if you remember, if you were bad in school and your parents might threaten to beat you in front of the class. Also, I remember years ago we used to go swimming at Huntington Park.
Yes.
Hunting Park. But there was a merry-go-round there. And I remember that very well. That was like in the 50s, and I think they must have closed it down in the 60s. Also, there must be a father in the house. I remember I was fortunate enough to have mother and father in the house, and there's a brother who calls up Cody and Vicky, Dr. Frederick Douglass Burton. He says it also. If there's a father in the house, you have that role model, and certain things you're not going to attempt to do.
Right.
Like I remember when I was young, there's certain things I wouldn't even attempt to do because my father was there, and there would be hell to pay. Take care.
All right.
Peace to you and the family.
Same
Have
to
a
you.
Good one.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go back to the phone lines and talk with Miss D from South Philly on line 4. Go ahead, Miss D.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
Hey, kudos to you. I thank you for you and Ellis and Michael, and I say all three of you need to get together and run this country. That's my prayers for you guys.
Thank you.
But on the other hand, I'm glad that I just got into the 15 minutes of the game because it would have had my pressure.
I know.
Going.
Wasn't that ridiculous?
Oh, my gosh. I just came into the 15 minutes. I said, Lord, I'm glad I didn't watch the whole game because I'd have been... I've been sick this morning. But anyway, it happens. And but I thank God for you sharing your fatherhood and your life, your experience from your first child. That kudos to you for sticking in there and doing what you need, and then to go on again and have another kid and start it all over and start it. But you know what to do now.
Yeah.
So we learn from our mistakes.
Do.
You know. But my thing is, we got so many that's caught up, and our mothers that are caught up in the hair and the nails, and dressing up the baby, and not knowing the foundation, and not knowing the long-term just of raising that kid. It's not just the baby. After the baby is going to school, you got to be there with the homework and the this and the that. So. Yeah, it takes two. So we got to hang in there. They got to hang in there and knowing that they got to put everything else aside just for their kid. I got a model that says being a community activist and a teacher and having my own daycare, I got a model that says it's easier to build a child than to repair an adult. So if we start the right way, then, we fall short, but we get back on track. You know.
Yep, I hear you, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Philip from West Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Philip.
Morning, Solomon. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, yes, I watched that Eagles game yesterday too. I still can't believe that they
that was a mess.
That game away like that. I watched you yesterday on the Channel 6 panel.
Thank you.
And you know what you said, and all the panelists, they all had some interesting points, and but like you had said that what we have to look at is what occurred before it ended in violence. guess because I too believe that, when a child is born, I don't think no child has in their heart or mind that, that they want to shoot or kill someone.
Right.
Something happens in their environment or in their upbringing, that leads to that point. Yes, as far as old school, okay, a few things. Okay, you're old school when, okay, like I know with me, like when my grandmother was watching me, and if I got out of line, Grandma would reach for her yardstick and point the yardstick at me and say, "Now look, boy, I ain't in the mood for it." And then I remember when I was at BB Converge's elementary school, it was this man named Mr. Harper. He was he was like one of them noontime aides, like a recess time. He would always be in the yard with the yardstick behind his back.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
I hear you, man. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning at WURD Radio. Let's go to Gloria from Sharon Hill on line 1. Go ahead, Gloria.
Good morning, Solomon. Work, Emmy Kuwaisa. How are you, Solomon?
Good, and you?
How was your weekend?
It was great.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah, anyway, you're old school. If you remember, the Greyhound bus station was right beside of JFK, right and JFK, right there, and the skating rink was right next door. Right, that's a watch. You could sit there and actually watch the people skating right through the glass.
Yep.
I remember that.
Okay.
I remember that. And another thing, Patty LaBelle. Gladys Knight. I'm sorry, Gladys Knight. She did it. She did. I saw her and Patty LaBelle in person, but they're really good, both of them. I like Gladys Knight. I really do.
Okay.
And that sheriff that beat that young man in the car down in Georgia, and my son's in Georgia with his wife and 2 children. He needs to go to jail.
Yep.
Not just fired.
Yep.
Jail.
Yep.
Jail time. Jail. And what happened in California with the 2 sheriffs in the car? They said, the person that actually did the interview said he was a dark-skinned man. How do you know it was a dark-skinned man? It could have been somebody white with a black face on him. Who knows? It was nighttime. And why they sit in the car like that? They should have. They need to watch their surroundings as well. I just think they got too comfortable sitting there. There's a lot of problems right now. You know what I mean? It's just so sad. I'm sorry to hear it happen to them, but like this, some of goes around comes around.
I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Diane from South Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Diane.
Good morning, Sal. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
And I heard your yesterday. Oh God, I was just so proud. I was so proud of you. I tell you, you are the man in this city.
Thank you.
And you said children, young people need an opportunity, and that is so true because the areas that where all the crimes at, it's no job. So if you don't give young people jobs, they're going to do bad things. I don't mind. It's a devil worship, That? But I have 3 things old school.
Okay.
My dad always said, if you don't work, you don't eat. Lord have mercy. And I passed that down to my children. They all got jobs. And also the hair comb, like when we used to get our hair done every Sunday, straighten the comb. My hair used to burn. My scalp used to be burning for a whole week. Okay?
Wow.
I don't like straightened combs, just that.
I know that's right.
My dad used to come up to my school. He used to work for the city, District 33. And he'd come back there, would come to my school with a suit on and sitting in the back. But I used to be so embarrassed. I used to be so embarrassed.
I've done
so
that.
one time, the teacher asked me about division. I wasn't good in division. And he asked me, Catherine, he said, you know my name. What is so-and-so? And I said I had to answer right. Solomon, only God gave me that answer. Trust me, I did not know the answer, because I know I would have got torn up when I got home.
I hear you.
I thank God for my father.
Yeah. Amen. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to talk with Dr. Naima Benson about what is going on with the coronavirus. She's, of course, from Dedicated Senior Medical Centers. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Enterprise Exterminators, located 4943 Wayne Avenue, specializing in lanternflies, termites, bedbugs, fleas, mice, and roaches. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now, 215-849-7070.
Support independent black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875.
Or visit wordradio.com.
Right now, the health and financial security of older Americans are on the line. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. AARP Pennsylvania wants to make sure that you know all of your voting options and that all Americans can vote safely whether they choose to vote from home or in person. To learn more about your voting options, visit aarp.org/PA votes, paid for by AARP.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Lifting every voice
till earth and heaven ring.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
You're waking up
with Word.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Joining us now is Dr. Naima Benson from Dedicated Senior Medical Centers. Dr. Benson, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. So, there's a lot going on around the novel coronavirus, of course, with our seniors especially. Initially, we believed that seniors were especially susceptible to this because they have, many of them underlying conditions. Has the thinking around how susceptible seniors are, has it changed? Has it evolved at all since the beginning?
No, actually, we know that they're still more likely to have severe disease. And just like you were saying, they're more likely to have the comorbid or the health conditions that would lead to them having severe disease and death from it. What we know is that our seniors are still safest when they work on prevention. prevent being exposed, and prevent, trying to, deal with this disease, because once they get it, it's really a struggle.
How do they go about doing that prevention? What are some of the things that our seniors can do to prevent getting sick from this thing in the first place?
One of the biggest things is trying to cut down on unnecessary time in high volume situations. So trying to do bulk shopping, trying to get exercise at times when there's not a lot of people outside, whether it's in the morning or the evening, or doing things at home on video. Trying to cut down on large family gatherings. If they can communicate with their families through Zoom or Duo or some other video, or have small gatherings where everybody is socially distanced and wearing masks. These are things that help to keep them safe and happy. Of course, if they're outside, we ask that everybody wear a mask. Wash your hands or use hand sanitizer as often as possible, and keep a safe distance that's 6 feet away. That's the biggest thing. And definitely watching for anybody who appears to be sick. Try and keep your distance. Even if they're in your home, you want to try and keep a safe space for them to be separate from you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I just got my flu shot. I just happened to, I had to take my son to the doctor. I'm there. We go to the same office. I'm like, yo, can I get my flu shot while I'm here? I got that. Why is it important for seniors to get their flu shot now?
Well, the interesting thing is that the flu is very similar to the coronavirus that causes COVID-19. It affects seniors more. They have the more serious disease that comes from flu. And this is the time actually to give yourself a vaccine that will let you learn how to fight the flu before you get exposed. We know that flu has kind of a predictable season. It starts in October. It's usually peaking or somewhat starting to fall down in March and extends to about May, depending on the year. So we try to get you vaccinated as early in the year as possible, not before September, but before October, before that time where you're going to get the most exposure. If we're looking at it like flu or COVID is a serious fight that you have to win in order to stay healthy and in order to continue on, then we have to prepare ourselves for it. Much like a boxer would prepare for a fight ahead of time, we get our vaccines ahead of the flu.
And so some people think, okay, I'll get the flu shot, I'm gonna get the flu. Tell us about some of the misconceptions about that flu shot.
The vaccine itself does not give you anything that could infect you. Some people get symptoms, I would say, after a vaccine. They may get fever, chills, runny nose, cough. These things aren't the actual flu. Although there are symptoms that go along with the flu that are similar, again, having fever, chills, cough, but the body aches, the shortness of breath, the headache, the fatigue, those are things that come along with the flu that you don't get with a vaccine. It's just what we call a vaccine reaction. And actually, if you're talking about taking your son to get the flu shot, most parents who've been with their child getting a vaccine with their pediatrician, they've heard their pediatrician say, listen, your kid may have a little bit of fever after this vaccine. They may be a little fussy, but it's not actually having the flu.
Okay. Now, you talked about the symptoms with the flu and the coronavirus being similar. What's the difference between the two? Can you tell which one you have if you're getting these symptoms?
Not just by the symptoms. Unfortunately, the symptoms are very similar. As I was mentioning before, fever, chills, sore throat, runny nose, nasal congestion, fatigue, body ache, headache. These are all things that we would associate with both the flu and the novel coronavirus. But we do have testing. So there's rapid flu testing that would help us to quickly diagnose whether this is flu, and we do have testing for the coronavirus as well, which is why, since we're expecting that both the coronavirus and the flu will be circulating in this fall and winter season, that it's really, really important to try and give yourself a fighting chance against at least the flu. We have the vaccine that gives you a fighting chance. Unfortunately, we're still waiting on the coronavirus vaccine, but we want to give them perfect time and enough time to make that as safe and effective as possible. So we're happy to wait for that.
Mm-hmm. And so what should people do now if they need to get a flu shot?
Contact your PCP. At Dedicated, we're focused on prevention. So during the season, we're trying to keep our seniors as safe as possible by vaccinating against the flu and reinforcing all the strategies that we spoke about. But most of your local pharmacies also have flu shots as well. So if it's more convenient or if you don't have a primary care physician, I would say reach out to one of your local pharmacies, and they'd be happy to get you vaccinated.
All right. How do people get in touch with Dedicated Senior Medical Centers?
We can be reached through the phone. My office is the North Philadelphia office, 267-866-7211. Or you can reach us on the internet at www.dedicated.care.
All right. Dr. Benson, as always, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh,
have a wonderful day.
You too. All right. So we got a couple minutes. If you want to get in touch with us, you could certainly give us a call at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. We're talking about a number of things this morning. Unfortunately, another incident with police, this time in a Atlanta suburb where a black man was repeatedly punched during a traffic stop. He wasn't even the driver of the car. He's a passenger in a rideshare. His 5-month-old child, as well as his stepson, his girlfriend, are there. They pull him out of the car because he doesn't want to show them his ID because he wasn't driving. And they beat him. Fortunately, somebody videotaped that. One of those sheriff's deputies has been fired after that incident. Story number 2, in the latest sign of chaos overshadowing the 2020 election, none of Pennsylvania's counties will be able to send out ballots to voters today, the first day that allows counties to do so. Story number 3, so much happening that sometimes it's easy to be overwhelmed. The president's lying about coronavirus, the homeless camped out on the parkway, fires raging in California, and the most important election of our lifetimes less than 2 months away. But in Philly, the most immediate danger is gun violence. What are we going to do about it? I want to hear from you about that as well. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in. Of course, we are asking a question today. You know your old school if. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. You can also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So we do have a few more comments here. I want to give a shout out to Anita Winters Green, Doris Abdul Mateen, Gwen Singleton, Lillian Williams, and Beanie Walters. Thank you so much for tuning in. Also Nicole Streets and Phyllis Williams. Thank you so much for joining us. I also have trying to pull it over here. Gail Robinson, you know you're old school if you had to be on the steps when the streetlights came on. You know you are old school when your parents are explaining every hit you get during a whooping, and whooping is old school in itself. So that's one comment there. Andre Terry saying good morning to both of us, and also saying good morning to the Word family and everyone. And then also, we have Deborah Dorn Carter. You know you're old school when you looked at Sally Starr and Jean London. Yeah, I'm not even familiar with those names.
Wow. Yeah, you're not old school.
Oh,
I do remember Jean London. I didn't watch Sally Starr, but I do remember Jean London.
I was like, Sally Jesse Raphael? I had no idea. I was like, what? I don't know. Emily Stewart says, you know you old school when you know the Great Space Coaster, if you know what the Great Space Coaster was. So that's another comment that we have there. And then also Carmen Iris says, you know you're old school if you unplug your TV when there is a thunderstorm. So that's another comment. And lastly, Amir Ali, you know you're old school if you remember Captain Kangaroo. So
Lord have mercy. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. We're going to try to get in one before we go to our guest. Of course, Dr. Tim Golden is going to be joining us in just a minute, but I'm going to try to get one caller. And Patrick is on line one. Go ahead, Patrick.
Hey, Solomon, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Good. I got two quick for you. First, I got contacted by a civil rights attorney, a guy named Amos Jones.
Okay.
And he runs something called the African American Historic Preservation Trust.
Mm-hmm.
And he saved a couple of buildings in Kentucky, African American churches.
Okay.
And he is 100% behind saving the home in Camden and having that home built into a museum. And so he got in contact with a guy named Dr. Jack Buella. You know who that is?
No.
He made a game called Nubian Jack back in the day. It was like a real famous board game. And but he's from England, London, England, and he puts plaques up all over England, and just did one in Wales for African history, African Caribbean history.
Okay.
First plaque he put up was for Bob Marley in London.
Okay. I think we might have had him on the show.
Amos Jones is flying him over, and we're going to have a big press conference in front of the house where Dr. Boella is going to be placing a plaque, coming from England to place a plaque in New Jersey because the significance that he sees in the property. So the state of New Jersey, the officials in New Jersey, who have not seen the significance in the property, seems that somebody from another nation literally is going to be traveling over here to place the plaque. And my book, by the way, will be done by the end of the month, coinciding with the placement of the plaque.
All right, well, keep us posted on that, Patrick. We do got to go to break, but thank you so much for that, and thank you for your work on that. Of course, he's talking about the place where Martin Luther King stayed when he did a protest in New Jersey. So we'll be watching out for that and make sure that we support it. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we are going to continue the show. Dr. Tim Golden joins us to talk about the shooting of 2 sheriff's deputies in L.A., and the history between the black community and police in California. We're going to go to break. On the other side, it's Dr. Tim Golden. We'll be right back.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your drive home.
In the happy hour
With Sincerely Sarita.
Monday through Thursday, 4 till 7 p.m.
Right here
on Word Radio, 96.1 FM.
and 900 AM WURD.
A job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. Under my plan, 50% of emergency small business relief would be reserved for the smallest businesses to recover from the economic mess we're in and to rebuild the economic future our country deserves. We can't just build back to what it was before. We have to build back better. If we truly want to reward the work in this country, we have to ease the financial burdens of care that families are carrying. To start, every 3- and 4-year-old child gets access to free high-quality preschool, and low- and middle-income families won't spend more than 7% of their income on child care for children under the age of 5, advancing racial equity across the American economy, building wealth for families of color, building a future worthy of their courage and their ambition. Just imagine if we could truly unleash their full potential. I'm confident we can do this. I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Want the latest in word swag?
Check out the shop tab on wordradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black.
Talk Media.
The North Star Convention is a statewide event where the concerned citizens, lawmakers, union, and community leaders are collectively working together to create an agenda that will address systemic issues in the black community throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Tuesday, September 15th, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., Regina Yoon and State Rep. Jake Weedy will be hosting a forum on economic justice. Go to northstarconvention.com to register for the free convention.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Independent black media.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word, man. We have had a lot to talk about this morning, and we got to talk about the shooting of two sheriff's deputies in L.A. Here to talk about it is Dr. Tim Golden. He's a lawyer, critical race theorist, professor of philosophy, legal studies program coordinator, and director of the Donald Blake Center for the Study of Race, Ethnicity, and Culture at Walla Walla University. For 20 years, he was a criminal defense attorney in Philadelphia and in the federal courts. Tim, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. Thanks for having me on your show this morning.
It's a pleasure, man. I'm curious. You're in Walla Walla, Washington. What's going on with those fires there? Has it moved close to where you are?
Well, Solomon, the fires have not moved close to where I am, but the smoke has made the air quality so hazardous that people are told to stay inside.
Wow.
So it's really crazy because as we attempt to gain control of the coronavirus here in our state, and we've been making progress, our case count has been down in recent weeks. We now have to contend with billowing smoke that makes bright and sunny days look cloudy. It looks like it's about to rain. That's how thick the smoke is.
Wow.
And you can smell it even sometimes without opening your windows or doors, which you're told not to do because of the particulates in the air. And the ash in the air is so heavy and the smoke is so thick that it's really hazardous to be outside at all, breathing. So it's a difficult time here. They say that it's supposed to clear up. The weather people say it's supposed to clear up by tomorrow, but the weekend has been really difficult because the days have been bright and sunny. And, of course, in the midst of the pandemic, a lot of people's only solace, including myself, was going outside for some fresh air, right?
Yeah.
But now you can't do that. I like to exercise at a local park, and there's a hill, and I like to be outside and take in the fresh air and sunshine. So it's been a little hard on me lately because you just can't do that. It's not safe to do that because the air quality is so hazardous. So the smoke has come this way very thick and very heavily. I feel bad, very badly, obviously, for those in Oregon and in California where the fires are raging. And I just pray for all those folks that things will come under control sooner rather than later. So it's been a challenging time.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about what happened in L.A. because there were two L.A. sheriff's deputies who were shot in their patrol car this weekend. After the shooting, anti-police protesters showed up outside the hospital where the deputies were being treated. And even in a tense time like this, that's unusual. But there's a history between police and California's black community. It's been bad since the Black Panthers. It remains bad now. What's happened in California, Tim, to bring things to this point?
Well, Solomon, in lots of ways, California could be considered a microcosm of the United States.
True.
Because what we see here is that the history of law enforcement in America, a lot of it begins with slave patrols in the American South, right? And these were designed to keep slaves on the plantation and after Reconstruction to keep newly freed slaves under control, so to speak. So it's a long, sordid history, and just to sort of truncate that history a little bit, if you go back, you mentioned the Black Panthers, if you go back to the late 1960s, the late, great Johnny Cochran earned his fame as a lawyer bringing lawsuits. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was one of the first lawyers in America to ever secure a verdict against the municipal police department in the late 1960s and early 1970s for the abuse of an African-American man. So the history in California goes back a long way, all the way through, if you remember, Angela Davis when she was on the run and Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. There were problems in the 70s, and now here we are just 28 years out from the infamous Rodney King verdict, right? And the riots that ensued after that. And now we're 25 years this year out from the O.J. Simpson verdict, which definitely emphasized racial divisions in America. And many speculated that the composition of the jury from Los Angeles County, given the history of police and policing and Mark Furman and the role he played in the case and all of that, his racial animus and bias and so forth, that all of that played a huge role. So I think what we're seeing now is just a continuation of this ongoing saga of mistrust and really lack of confidence in the criminal justice system. Now, that said, I've seen the video of this shooting, and it is beyond disturbing, right? I mean, nothing justifies what this person did. I don't want to give anyone the impression that it's okay to walk up to police officers and just shoot them, because it is not, and that's contemptible and has to be condemned. But again, I don't know. I'm sure this person, police will do everything they can to find this person, and it makes me wonder, you know, when police are out for someone who has killed one of their own, you would like to think that they would pursue one of their own who has done harm to someone else with that same vigor, right? You would like to think that the same energy they will bring to the capturing and prosecution of this person would be a similar energy that they bring to prosecuting people who have shot and killed, I don't know, Breonna Taylor, right? So you would hope that. And so the real gap is in what the Supreme Court, what is etched on the facade of the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C., right? Equal justice under law. It seems that it continues to be unequal. This person, I have no doubt, who committed this awful crime of walking up to these two police officers and shooting them, this person will be arrested and prosecuted for attempted murder and will be incarcerated to the fullest extent of the law. I'm almost certain about that. But what's sad is that we can't be as certain about the police who killed George Floyd, right? We cannot be as certain about the police who killed Breonna Taylor. We cannot be as certain as the police who kill unarmed black people, because history shows time and again that whether you're Tamir Rice in the park with a toy gun, or if you're Terrence Crutcher in Oklahoma with your hands up, obeying the orders of a police officer, and you're killed, that anything is going to happen to you as a police officer. And I think that's the legacy of that long, tortured history, not only in California, but throughout the United States.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because when you look at black people really rising up and dealing with police abuses, you know, one of the examples of that is in California. It's the Black Panthers. Walk us through the history of why the Black Panthers started and its relation to police in the black community.
Well, I think, Solomon, what ended up happening was you have a long legacy of, obviously, of police brutality. And a lot of this began in the mid-1960s, 1966 or thereabouts, when the Civil Rights Movement, headed by Dr. King in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, began to move its efforts out of the South and into northern cities. As they moved from Alabama and Mississippi and the Carolinas, etc., they were called out to Los Angeles, California, just 3 days after the vote, after President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act in August of 1965. And it was there that for the first time, Dr. King's message of nonviolent protest was rejected, that the youth in California didn't want that. approach. And the reason why they didn't want that approach was because they had been experiencing police brutality for a long time. They weren't living under Jim Crow, so to speak, but they were living under a sort of modified Jim Crow because they were surveilled, policed, etc. And I think the Black Panther movement grew out of a strong resistance to the kinds of things that had been going on for decades in California while there were sit-ins going on in Alabama and Georgia and Mississippi. So I think the Black Panther movement forms out of this resistance, and then, of course, Stokely Carmichael begins using the phrase Black Power, and that becomes a mantra for the movement. There's some footage, actually, of a march in Mississippi where Dr. King and Stokely Carmichael are marching together, and there's a representative of the news media there, and you can see the division coming. You can see the split starting to take place, and Stokely Carmichael is taking a much more radical stance with Black Power, and King is trying to stick to this message of nonviolent resistance. And in the end, when you get to the later part of the 1960s, after the King assassination, I think California, Northern California, or Oakland, which, if I'm not mistaken, is where the Black Panther Party began, had its own unique culture. And this is something that I don't think Dr. King and the SCLC realized, was that the black community in the United States was not monolithic, that there were people who had different experiences with racism and who were less concerned about being able to eat at lunch counters and more concerned about survival every day. And so it's fascinating that a lot of Second Amendment rhetoric that we hear today, some of that rhetoric actually originated with the Black Panther Party. But of course, when you're black and you talk about a right to bear arms, you have to be stopped, right? But if you're white and you talk about a right to bear arms, then we want to encourage that. So there's a lot of racism around the Second Amendment that we haven't addressed either. But I think the Black Party grows out of the unique experience, the Black Panther Party grows out of the unique experiences of African Americans in California with police that are not necessarily worthy of more attention or less attention than sit-ins, but they're just a different kind of racism that we confront.
You know what's interesting is that so you move from that and the Black Panther Party being developed in Oakland and really spreading to the rest of the United States. But then you get into the 80s and the 90s, and you have NWA, which comes out of Compton, the very place where this police shooting took place. And they are writing out of their own experiences with the police there. They come out with a song, F the Police, and it becomes almost this anthem around the tensions between the black community and what's happening with policing there. And that seemed to be the evolution of that, Tim. I'm sure you remember that. We from the same era.
I know that well, Solomon. I know that well. That art and politics. There's something very deeply political about art, and the way that art is used to push certain social and political agendas. And yes, the rallying cry of F the Police from, I believe that's around 1988 or 89 into 1990. That time period there was a time period of a new voice, and this is when hip hop and the rap culture, along with Public Enemy, who was doing Fight the Power and a Night of the Living Bassheads and a number of other songs that were out in that's our era, Solomon. Right? You remember that? I mean, we remember that era well. The political consciousness of rap music became a consciousness that embodied these deep historical fissures between police and the black community, and it continues to this day. So wherever we see the kind of brutality, you'll always see resistance. I think it's the nature nature of the human spirit to resist oppression. And whether we like the lyrics or not, whether they make us feel comfortable, because it's easy, Solomon, to condemn the lyrics, right? I mean, it's easy to sit back as a bourgeois, middle to upper middle class African American or white person, and who's completely detached from the everyday problems that they're rapping about, to sit back and complain about the music. The more challenging thing, or the more challenging task for all of us, is to really consider the conditions that make the music necessary. I think that's the deeper step that we have to take. We have to take the step to say, okay, we might not like the language, but why are they doing this, right? In the same way that people will ask the question, well, why was Jacob Blake even being arrested? We have no problem probing deeper into things that we don't want to confront. But the things that demand confrontation, we don't want to probe any deeper because they just make us uncomfortable. So that's the world we live in, Solomon, and I hope that we would find a way to challenge ourselves to see a little bit beyond the surface and face the realities of racism as they show themselves in police brutality. Because here's the thing, Solomon, we can arrest and we can prosecute, and legal reform is necessary. We can pursue that, and we need to pursue that. But that's not enough. It's not enough if your heart and your mind doesn't change. It's not enough, because we can change laws from now until kingdom come, but unless the heart and the mind is convicted of the wrongness, of the moral wrongness, and the spiritual wrongness of racism, injustice, and oppression, then we will continue to change the letter of the law, but the spirit will forever remain the same. That's unfortunate.
How about that? And of course, that shooting that happened in Compton with someone, just coming up to that police car and just shooting into that car. We hope that person is caught. That was wrong. That was wrong.
Absolutely. That kind of violence is unacceptable. You just cannot do that. That has to be condemned. My hope is that when the police see the face of George Floyd and stand by and let one of their own before they let one of their own commit a murder right in front of them, that they will step in and pull the knee off of the neck.
That's right.
With the same figure that they want to go get this perpetrator.
Absolutely.
That's when you know you're making progress. When police don't stand by and watch one another commit crimes against unarmed black citizens and intervene with the same level of vigor and force as if it were a citizen whose knee was on the neck of one of their own, that's when we start to make progress.
That's right. That's Dr. Tim Golden. He's a lawyer and critical race theorist, professor of philosophy, legal studies program coordinator, director of the Donald Blake Center for the Study of Race, Ethnicity, and Culture at Walla Walla University. For 20 years, he was a criminal defense attorney in Philadelphia and in the federal courts. Tim, as always, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, Solomon. Have a blessed day.
You too, brother. We are going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to talk with the Streets Commissioner, Carlton Williams, about what's going on with the Streets Department, of course, sanitation and trash and all of that. Yeah, we got to talk about that. Carlton Williams joins us on the other side. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
So you just finished binge watching that entire TV series?
Now it's time to binge listen at WordRadio.com. Check out our archives of WURD on demand.
And listen to some of the most memorable moments from your favorite hosts.
Word Radio on demand. Check it out right now at WordRadio.com/podcasts. Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939. No fear, just facts. This is WURD, independent black media.
If you're eligible for Medicare in 2021, you could have a chance to win one of 4 great prizes, like dinner prepared by a local chef and home fitness equipment. When you enter to win, you'll also receive a free COVID-19 News You Need booklet. Visit www.ibxmedicare.com/healthy advice to enter. Independence Blue Cross offers products through its subsidiaries Independence Hospital Indemnity Plan, Keystone Health Plan East, and QCC Insurance Company, independent licensees of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Joining us now, Streets Commissioner Carlton Williams from the Philadelphia Streets Department. Commissioner Williams, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Solomon. It's always a pleasure to be here and always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yep. So I was a little mad a little while ago about the trash, man. I got to be honest.
I heard that.
I know you heard.
You know I got the message. Yes, I understand. Understandably so, Solomon. We were faced with some very significant challenges since the COVID-19 outbreak.
So I know a lot of your workers were sick or quarantined. So what's been done to make sure that there's a backup plan for this very unusual time that we're dealing with now?
So the mayor immediately gave us the authority to hire temporary workers. That's never been done before, but we needed it in a situation, in a crisis like this, when we had to bring people aboard and increase the budget just to allow us to maintain this basic critical core function. Mm-hmm. So we were able to do that. We're still in the process of actually bringing them aboard. We actually hired about 100 of them so far. Okay. But we're making progress. The trash and recycling collections has improved. Yeah. We're not where we want to be yet. But we are making progress because we're still in the pandemic.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're kind of looking out for is the fall, when it's, typically flu season, when things like the coronavirus, could come back and come back, in a big way. Are you preparing for that?
Absolutely. That's what the 120 workers will do. It will supplement the attendance that we've experienced over the past couple of months with our workers being out either directly or indirectly affected by COVID-19. Mm-hmm. So it gives us the additional personnel. And this is as complicated an issue as it was. It comes down to more volume and less people, which is causing delay. And that's the thing that we're facing, and that's what we've now tried to resolve with the additional temporary workers that came aboard.
Mm-hmm. Now, as these temporary workers come aboard, is there a path for them to become permanent? Is the money there for that, for instance?
So, yes, absolutely. Actually, they're taking off the pre-existing list while they're waiting to become full-time employees. So this actually gives them an advantage and an open and an orientation to what they will be doing full-time once those positions open up. How it works is that when someone either is separated from the department or retires and it moves on, then those positions open up. Those employees that were currently working in a temporary capacity have been offered the opportunity for full-time.
Okay. We're talking with Streets Commissioner Carlton Williams about what's going on in Philadelphia with the Streets Department. So we know that this was not unique to Philadelphia. What did you learn from other cities and other municipalities, and how they handled some of their workers not being able to come in during this pandemic.
I just got off the phone on a very positive conference call last week with Baltimore, who's experiencing much more significant challenges than we are. They've suspended their recycling program to November 1st just to keep up with trash. And they expressed some of the same things that we were. It's more volume. This whole country as a whole experienced a 30% increase in trash. And just to give you a kind of sense of what that equates to, that's about 3,000 more tons of trash per week, which equates to about a day and a half of extra trash that you have to collect. So that's what the entire country was experiencing. Many of them have changed their curbside programs in Darby. I don't know if you've heard of what they were doing in Upper Darby, where they actually suspended trash collection and had to bring in privates to come in. We're fortunate that we weren't in that type of position and we were able to get out of it before, but those are the steps that many other municipalities around the country were taking. And it's not just major cities, it's small towns like Tacoma, Washington, Nashville, Tennessee. So many others have reached out through the industry networks to figure out how we get out of this crisis and going forward, what do we need to do so that we don't return?
Yeah. And so as we move forward, what is the Streets Department doing to innovate and to learn from this and to perhaps make some permanent changes going forward?
Well, the biggest complaints that we heard is that people don't know when trash and recycling is being collected. They understood the fact that we were going to be late. They understood that there was additional trash, but they just wanted to know when because they did not want it sitting out curbside, as you can imagine, in the 100-degree heat, smelling and causing rodents and infestations. So they had a better sense of when they would be able to put it out, then we could coordinate better. That's kind of difficult to do when you don't know what your resources are every day. So what we've created and what we're about to launch is called Pickup PHL, which is a real-time website to show you exactly where our trucks are working on any given day or any given time. And you can actually see when you click onto this website when trash has actually been collected by seeing where the trucks have visited the street. So we are hoping that this tool will give people the opportunity to actually see where we're working, how far we're behind, and when they can place out their trash. So communication is key. That's one of the things that we learned that we can improve upon, and we're working on that with new technology to help us manage our operation.
How do people get in touch with the Streets Department if they have questions regarding their trash and trash pickup?
Well, normally we still use 311, although we've asked that because during the pandemic they was getting such an increased volume of calls that the system was becoming overwhelmed. But we normally ask within 2 or 3 business days if your trash hasn't been collected, contact 311 so that we can get someone out there as quickly as possible. Certainly, you can always email us at philadelphia.com and look at the latest trash and collection updates and then be able to reach us through that system as well. Or you can call our offices directly at 215-686-5460 and we can get you an update on trash and recycling collection and where we are. And if we have missed it, then we can get somebody out there as quickly as possible.
Okay. All right. I want to thank you, man, for joining us this morning on WURD. And we know how important that is, the sanitation, the Streets Department, and all of the things that you guys are doing. So we appreciate the work, and thank you for coming to talk about it this morning on WURD.
Absolutely, Solomon. I just want to thank all of the citizens of Philadelphia and our workers who braved through that pandemic and who were understanding. Residents reached out. They gave our guys water. Thank you. That goes a long way because those guys worked extremely hard. They worked almost 50 days. And we wanted to make sure that the residents understood that they were doing their jobs. The residents did respond. They were very appreciative of the work that we were doing. And they understood that there was some complications. I want to thank the citizens of Philadelphia for doing that.
All right. That's Carlton Williams, Streets Department Commissioner. Thanks so much.
All right. Have a good day, Solomon.
All right. You too. So I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number. that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. We're talking about a number of things, including our big question. You know your old school if. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation. Of course, you can also weigh in on Facebook at ForWord. That's FORWURD, FORWURD, and let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So we actually have a few comments here. Melissa Brunson actually says the entire city needs to be re-educated about weekly trash pickup. The streets department may need to bring back the sanitation police to ticket and fine people who constantly put out excessive trash, put trash out early, etc. So that's one comment. Philip Jefferson, this is actually a little long, but Philip Jefferson, you know you're old school when you was watching TV and you had to get up out of your seat and turn the knob if you wanted to change the channel. You also know you're old school when the Philadelphia Eagles home games would be blacked out because they didn't sell out the game. You also are old school if you remember when the Philadelphia 76ers, Flyers, and Phillies used to broadcast all of their road games on the outside channels such as channel 17, 29, and 57, and all the home games came on Prism TV. So that's one comment that's there. Then Adrian Everett Bay says, I get a text when my trash is late and when it's going to be picked up. And then we also have Joanne Nelson saying, great show and amazing peoples this morning. Everyone have a blessed day. And lastly, Phyllis Williams says, thank you, Commissioner Williams. Glad you are hiring more workers. This coronavirus has caused so much trash backup. And then Nikki Carter lastly says, a good question for Carlton Williams is why are the trash collectors purchasing their own PPE equipment? Excuse me. I follow this guy that works for the trash department and has a page where people donate masks, gloves, money, etc. It doesn't make sense, especially when we pay taxes. I just saw a picture where they pick up needles but don't have proper gloves. I'm hearing even if they purchase their own, they can't get a tax deduction for that. So that is another comment that we have here as well. But those are just some of the comments that we have on our Facebook page.
All right, so we want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in. Phone lines are full, and so we're going to go and take your calls. And we're going to start with, as soon as I can pull this up, Ann from North Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Ann.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Someone had texted Facebook and what I was thinking about the trash policemen, you know, to put them back on.
Yes.
Because I realize it's a backup, but some, it's just a shame the way people put out this trash. And I walk a lot, you know, because I don't have a car.
Okay.
And you see 10, 15, and 20 bags and stuff like that. That's even after the trash people has come along, or they decide whenever they want to put it out. If they trash on Tuesdays, they put it out on Sundays. You know, there was a time, if anything else, you ain't see the streets dirty on no Sundays. They would have it all cleaned up for Sundays, you know, as if the Lord Jesus Christ was going to walk through. You know, we would have our block clean, you know, and everything like that. And for the equipment, the sanitation equipment, I don't know about all, but my daughter worked with the highway, and she was on sanitation, and they gave them masks, them plastic, the heavy plastic when they go around your face. They had those. They had big sanitized bottles that she said sits on the desks and stuff like that, that you could come in and use. And when you watch the sanitation workers, a lot of them have masks, but they have them around their neck. They don't put them on. They in the truck close together, you know, and around a lot of them, believe it or not, because I know people that work in the sanitation department, highways, but a lot of them had died from that coronavirus. You know, a lot of them died. Because my daughter, they've been told me about these friends and things is dying from it, and real, you know, from it, that they're not saying. But they have to learn to protect themselves also, too, you know. You have to protect yourself. If they don't reimburse you, you're getting paid every week or every 2 weeks, however, by your equipment. For the lady that was saying about the trash, that that they people come and dump, illegal dumping, and she did say the city would come and clean up, and they would come back again, you know, and before they could see. I mean, people might out. She can buy a camera. People might say no. They had these cameras that's less than $200 now. Because one of my daughters has it, and she can aim it. She can see 2 and 3 blocks away. And every time somebody walks by, animal, whatever, it buzzes. And it's less than $200. You have to pay nothing a month.
Mm-hmm.
You just get it, and it's called Blink.
All right, Miss Ann, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. If you want to get in, it is 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. Renee from Logan is online, too. Go ahead, Renee.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
I'm glad you have this sanitation director on.
Mm-hmm.
There are rumors that a number of sanitation workers have died from the virus. I'd like for him to respond to that at some point to let us know what happened, because I think we do have an obligation to make sure that the sanitation workers are well-equipped, have special equipment. They're dealing with stuff that none of us necessarily want to be with 7 days or 5 days a week all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're not being protected, as far as I'm concerned, in the way they should be. So I'm for that.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Esther from Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Esther.
Sure, I enjoy you so much.
Thank you.
Listen, Solomon, I lived in North Philadelphia as a child, Kevin Thompson, a little street called Delhi.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that street.
You don't know nothing about it?
I do. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You should. You
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the police station at Kevin Thompson?
No, because I was on the other side of Broad Street. I was at 25th Street.
You were too young for that anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an old lady, okay?
All right.
Solomon,
Mm-hmm.
I remember on Delhi Street, we called the houses Ace Deuce Tray.
Mm-hmm.
One room on the third floor, 2 rooms on the second, and 3 on the third. Anyhow, it was Ace Deuce Tray house. We had to sift coal. Okay, so to make sure you didn't throw away the good coal, because we had the big furnace in the basement, and they had to sift the coal. But Solomon, I got a couple of them. Listen, not only was we at Tessa Thompson sifting, we had no bathroom. We had an outhouse, so we had to take a bath in a big tin tub, warm the water on the potbelly stove, and take a bath in the middle of the floor. And the last one I want to tell you about, Solomon, that I can remember so well. I'm 86 now, Solomon.
Wow.
Okay. And I remember St. Luke Hospital, where Roy Rogers, Dale Evans, and Trigger came every Christmas to bring us gifts as a child.
Wow.
And I tell you, it was a blessing. I didn't realize it was a blessing then, but I realize it now. God bless you, Solomon.
God bless you,
so
too.
much for all you're doing for your people.
Oh, you are so welcome. You are so welcome.
Bless
Thank you
baby.
so much for your call this morning on WURD. We appreciate our elders, man. We stand on their shoulders. We stand on their shoulders. I appreciate you. Thank you. Let's go to Don from West Philly on line 4. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, good morning.
Hey, man.
Yeah, you know you're old school when the cops used to roll up on you and you be on the corner and they tell you to get off, and then you don't get off, they circle back around, break out the nightsticks and bust you in your leg.
That's old school.
That's
old school.
And you know you're old school when you be out the corner smoking your marijuana and the cops pull up on you, take your marijuana and throw it in the sewer, or they go around the corner and smoke it.
Slap them 40s out your hand. I remember that. Now, I remember that. I must be old school.
You know you're old school, and when you're driving down the street and somebody's staring at you, the dude to pull over, say who you staring at, and ask you for a fair one.
That's old school.
Now you driving down the street, everybody's staring at you. And like me and my brothers would say, damn, back in the day, somebody, they would pull over and say, who you staring at, and give me a fair one. But, hey, and I mean, you're old school, and when you get parking tickets, you can see any cop and give it to them, and they go fix it for you, man.
That's old school.
Later.
That's old school. All right, Don, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we got to talk about these Eagles, man, and the NFL, everything that happened over the course of this weekend with WURD's own Chris Murray from the Murray Report. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
Undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
Right now, the health and financial security of older Americans are on the line. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. AARP Pennsylvania wants to make sure that you know all of your voting options and that all Americans can vote safely whether they choose to vote from home or in person. To learn more about your voting options, visit aarp.org/PA votes, paid for by AARP.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
Using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Hey, Word family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. Joining us now is WURD's own Chris Murray. He's host of the Murray Report on WURD Radio Saturdays at 11 a.m. He joins us to talk about what happened in the NFL this weekend. Chris, good morning.
How are you, Solomon? Thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure. So, we got to start with the bad news. The bad news is that the Philadelphia Eagles got beaten this weekend, in a way that was really upsetting. It was upsetting for me as an Eagles fan. So what did you see, Chris, as you watched that game?
Well, what you saw was a depleted offensive line. I mean, the right side of their line, you started two people who never had any NFL experience. And that's because Lane Johnson was out. He was on the inactive list before the game came out, and you got two guys who never played in the game. What was curious to me was they had another guy named Matt Pryor, who's like 6'7" and 351 pounds, played in the Seattle game in the playoffs last year, and they left him on the bench. And I always stick with the people who have some game experience, and they missed a lot of reads. They allowed Carson Wentz to be sacked 8 times.
Yeah.
And the weird part about it, it looked like that was coming. I mean, the Eagles had a great start, 17-0, but you still saw the sacks coming. I mean, they were just coming. They on one drive, on a couple of drives that they scored on, the Redskins had about 2 or 3 sacks, and the Eagles somehow managed to make it downfield.
Yeah.
But it was almost like watching a body puncher, punch and punch and punch, and then at some point, you're going to fall. Mm-hmm. And then the key play of that second half, the first half rather, was the interception at the end of the first half, and they gave Washington, and I can't say the old name anymore, but they gave Washington short field. And I don't care how good you are as a defense, you can't constantly give up short fields to a team, to any team in pro football. I mean, Jalen, after the game yesterday, that we have to be firemen on defense, and we got to clean that stuff up. And the defense broke down. They let them score every time they got the ball inside.
So that was part of what happened, and you know, I was curious as to you know, why they put those guys out there, man. Those two guys out there. Now I understand you didn't really have a backup right tackle, other than, you know, really guys without any experience. That's a problem in itself. But to your point, to put the right guard out there when you had Matt Pryor, who had NFL experience, I didn't understand that.
It was brought up at the game, at the press conference afterward, and, you know, Peterson seemed to kind of, you know, shirk around the answer. And, you know, the thing is, those are the things that, you know, you wonder how you go back to criticizing how they drafted. You always have to take an offensive lineman. You know, I always say take one in the second round of the draft and just take another lineman. You know, because you can never have too many offensive linemen. Guys get hurt, and you need guys on the field, and you got to protect the quarterback. Everybody thought that was a good thing that Jason Peters went back to the defensive, the left tackle position. Yeah. But the problem, Jason Peters gave up and didn't hold off. They were coming down his side too. Yeah. So the whole line played horribly yesterday.
Yeah. And so we'll see, man. We'll see what they do to address that coming up this week. This is my last question I'm going to ask about this, because I got to know if I'm the one that's crazy. So why did they, if they knew that they had rookies on the line and they knew, you know, Jason Peters is getting older, that, you know that your line can't hold up against this Washington defensive line that's all first-round draft picks. So why didn't they do short passes, more runs? Like, what in the world was going on with that, man?
Man, I didn't understand it, because you only ran the ball 17 times. And to slow down a pass rush, you got to run the football. I mean, the thing about it, sometimes the Eagles become predictable. Yeah. And that goes back to Andy Reid days. Doug Peterson coached under Andy Reid. And so it becomes predictable. They knew the Eagles, as soon as the Eagles fell down, they knew the Eagles were going to pass. As soon as the Eagles started getting, as soon as the game got close, the Eagles got tight. They went away from the run again. But then again, you didn't have Miles Sanders on the field. You had Corey Clement and Boston Scott, who, when he got the ball a few times, he had some good runs. And so they didn't stick to the running game, especially when you got inexperienced offensive linemen. I don't know why. I mean, that was, like I said, people asked the question after the game. I mean, you know, you can't go into that game and run the ball just 17 times. You still, I don't care if this is the years of the passer, you still got to run that football. And the teams that are successful, like, will run that football, like the teams to the south of us down in Baltimore. They will run that football, to keep the pressure off the quarterback. And in that situation, even if they got 4 or 5 yards, they still have to keep that, that defensive line of the Redskins, of the Washington team. Good Lord, say, they had to keep them honest. They had to keep them honest.
Yeah, and so we'll see. They're gonna have to make some changes, man, because that was ridiculous. But across the NFL, you had, of course, a lot of people protesting around the issue of social justice. In the wake of the George Floyd murder, it has become clear that sports leagues cannot just stop people from doing that. And so what did you see across the league this weekend?
Well, it was a variety of things. In Kansas City, during the show of Unity, Kansas City had allowed fans to come to the game, and more than a few fans booed that whole situation. Some teams, I know the Washington team stayed in the locker room, during both the Black National Anthem, the Lift Every Voice and Sing, and the Star Spangled Banner. They were consistent. They stayed in the locker room. The Eagles came out and they showed their situation. In Dallas, one of the Cowboys players kneeled during the national anthem. So the thing that I got, and I saw this mostly on social media, was that a lot of white, social media folk were somewhat complaining about the about Lift Every Voice and Sing as if it was some type of alien kind of thing. And so I had to explain to one person to think of Lift Every Voice and Sing the same way you would think of America the Beautiful. It is a patriotic song.
Yeah.
And if you listen to what James Weldon Johnson wrote, is basically saying that, it's the fight for liberty. It's what Lincoln said in his Gettysburg Address, a new birth of freedom. And I explained it to a couple of people in that way. I didn't hear any response from them, but it was often seen as quote unquote politically correct. And it's always that way when you have to basically make yourself included in the whole thing of freedom and justice in this country. I think the coaches were supportive of it, but the one thing that I think that came out of this weekend that I saw was that, number one, they didn't really acknowledge Colin Kaepernick. And the owners, you now know that the owners really were the ones that were entrenched about keeping Colin Kaepernick out. Yeah. And there was no acknowledgement to say, hey, look, to Colin Kaepernick that, hey, the ownership was wrong for blackballing him. No one wants to come out and say that. I mean, it's nice that the NFL is doing all these performative gestures. Mm-hmm. But what I would like to see that the owners use their largesse to basically basically influence police departments to stop going around shooting unarmed black people. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that they could do moving forward. That's the thing that Roger Goodell and the league could do moving forward. Don't just, like I say again, it's a bit condescending. Yes, we can play Lift Every Voice and Sing. How about stop every cop from shooting black people?
How about that? Drop the mic right there, because that's it. I mean, it's become almost fashionable, right? To act like, you are in favor of black lives, that you want to make sure that there is justice, right? There's, social justice as a thing. But, you have to bring about change and use the resources that you have. The NFL has billions of dollars. Billions of dollars can bring change. And so that's what I'm looking for beyond this. And you know what the other thing I'm looking for? I'm looking to see what happens to that Dallas Cowboys player who kneeled down, because Jerry Jones, of course, not in favor of that. And so I want to see what happens to that Cowboys player. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and if it's the same old thing, then you know that has things really changed? No.
Yeah, exactly.
And from that standpoint, but the players in that league really, I think the players are starting to come together, but there's still a little bit of fear and trepidation because they don't have guaranteed contracts in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Need a better union rep.
Absolutely. That is Chris Murray from the Murray Report. His show comes on WURD Saturdays at 11. He talks about sports. And, Chris, I want to thank you so much, brother. We appreciate you joining us this morning on Wake Up with Word.
Solomon, as always, thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely. So I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Give us a call. Let us know where you are on these things we are talking about on this morning show. And, of course, we're going to get a couple of your comments on Facebook at FORWURD. That's FORWURD. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
A few people weighed in here. So we have, I'm trying to pull this up here. Yeah. Phyllis Williams, yes, Carl, you're right. It's a dirty, dangerous, back-breaking job, talking about the sanitation here in the city. Sometimes when you see them, just thank them. So that's one comment. Deborah Dorn Carter, I remember old school penny candy at the corner store, banana splits, candy, 2 for 1 penny, Twisters, red dollar chewy candy, penny bubble gum machine, popsicle, 5 cents, red shoelaces candy was 1 penny. So that's another comment that we have there. Zahira Ahmad, and I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. You know you're old school when you were afraid to be disrespectful in front of adults and fear what your parents or grandparents would do if someone told on you. I'm still afraid to be disrespectful.
I know, that's right.
Listen, K. Alexander Smallwood, of news really, the news was really upsetting is the way that the fans reacted in Kansas City to their Super Bowl champions actually booing during people because they express solidarity with Black Lives Matter. That's pretty disgusting. And lastly, Diane Fassett says, good morning, Word family. And she says, hey, is that Chris? Hey, love your show. So that's another comment that we have there as well.
All right. So we're going to go to the phone lines, 215-634-8065. Let's go to Olanian from Nicetown on line 1. Go ahead, Olanian.
Good morning. I want to go through some old school things.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. Dialing on a wall phone, having a main procession for campus school students, boxing fights that were 15 rounds, 1959 pennies that were different than the way pennies look now, and way back when police cars were rigged.
That's right. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. Renee from West Oak Lane on line 2. Go ahead, Renee.
Hello, Solomon Kuwait. I just want to make a comment on the sanitation workers of the section.
Okay, go ahead. You got 30 seconds.
Okay, for the sanitation workers, this is for people, period. Don't wait for anybody to give you protection. You protect yourself the best you can. Like Temple University, the students have to leave out before they can even settle in. Use your own discretion on this virus because the thermometer head check don't mean nothing for a person that's asymptomatic. And I just wanted to tell people to use your own discretion. And for a lighter tip, don't forget to drive the movie at the Navy Yard and at the Mann Center is still available. All right.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. We appreciate everybody who called in on today's show. I want to thank all of our guests, including Dr. Naima Benson of Dedicated Senior Medical Centers, lawyer and critical race theorist Dr. Tim Golden, Streets Commissioner Carlton Williams, and Word's own Chris Murray. And now, for super producer Kawesa Mathis and everyone here at WURD Radio, I am your host, Solomon Jones, saying stay tuned for Reality Check with Charles Ellison and tune in tomorrow at 7 for more. Wake up with Word. Peace.